So meeting will come to order 9 o'clock. Mr. Citro, I believe you have invocations this morning, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Today's invocation is going to be given by Pastor Gabriel Morgan. The pastor is the parish pastor of St. Paul Lutheran Church on Central Avenue and Faith Lutheran on North Florida Avenue. He is a graduate of Union Theological Seminary in New York City. He received his Master's of Divinity degree there and holds a Doctor of Philosophy degree from the Lutheran Theological Seminary of Philadelphia. Originally from Tampa, Gabriel is also an alum of the University of South Florida, Go Bulls, with a Bachelor of Philosophy. He and his wife, Erin, live in Southeast Seminole Heights. Pastor, if you would please lead us in the invocation, and everybody could please rise and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you. Let us pray. Blessed are you, loving Creator and Governor of the universe. You've written your law of love on every human heart, and you call out to all people through the voice of wisdom in many religions and philosophies. Grant the spirit of wisdom to our council members today, that their deliberations may reflect your desire for the peace and well-being of all. Grant them a spirit of love, that they might not insist on their own way, but instead have clarity about the needs of those they are elected to serve. And finally, grant each of us your spirit of humility, so that we grow to view the residents of our city not in terms of what we have achieved, but in terms of what we have suffered. I ask this in the name of Jesus Christ, the one who suffered for others. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pastor Morgan, I thank you very, very much. You have a great day. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Thank you. God bless.
Madam Deputy Clerk, roll call, please.
Yes. Carlson.
Here.
Maniscalco. Dingfelder. Citro.
Here.
Vieira. Miranda.
Here.
Goods.
Here.
We have a physical quorum.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Clerk. Mr. Sherwood, let's go through the agenda first, please, sir.
May I just begin with a few comments, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir, you may.
Today's meeting is held during the COVID-19 state of emergency, and it's being conducted with a live in-person quorum of the City Council President and City Council chambers. However, in response to the COVID-19 restrictions, members of the public are encouraged to participate virtually through video teleconferencing, referred to by Florida statutes and rules as Communications Media Technology, or CMT. These meetings are held in accordance with the Emergency Rules of Procedure as adopted by City Council Resolution number 2020-229, as amended by Resolution number 2020-490, and Resolution 2021-241. The public and the citizens of the City of Tampa are able to watch, listen, and view this meeting on Spectrum Channel 640, Frontier Channel 15, and on the internet at tampa.gov/live stream. The members of the public are able to participate through multiple means in this meeting: written comments by the internet or web, written comments by email, written comments by U.S. mail. Also to speak remotely during public comment with the use of CMT, and that requires pre-registering, and that is available at tampa.gov/public comment. And the instructions are available on the city's webpage, the City Council's webpage at tampa.gov/city council, one word. Now, for those who do not have the ability to participate remotely, the City of Tampa has made available to the public during this meeting Communications Media Technology on the second floor of Old City Hall at 315 East Kennedy Boulevard. And please note that the use of masks and social distancing inside the building are encouraged. Now, there are land use hearings today, and those require, if you wish to appear remotely, will have required pre-registration prior to today. Now, the comments that are specific to a public hearing will be heard when it appears on the agenda. All written comments must be received no later than 24 hours prior to the hearing to be distributed timely to City Council and made part of the permanent record of quasi-judicial matters. Now, public comments received timely by mail, email, web, or via CMT will be afforded equal consideration as if the public comments were made in person. Finally, for the members of the public who are participating on the virtual platform GoToMeeting, please be reminded that the chat box is not to be used for communications with members of City Council. Its only purpose is to be able to address technical issues. So again, please do not communicate through the chat box except to report technical concerns. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Shelby. Madam Deputy Clerk, just for notation, Mr. Vieira will be here, probably about 20 minutes. So for the record, he will be here. Ms. Shelby, let's go to the approval of the agenda and the addendum, please. We have a walk-on item by Councilman Citro, accommodation.
Yes, that's going to be added to the agenda per direction of the chair.
Yes, sir.
And also, I believe there is a request from Councilmember Maniscalco to remove item, to pull item 30 for discussion under staff reports. Is that correct? Thank you.
Okay, pull item
And
30.
number 28 is a substitute resolution that has been filed with the clerk.
Thank you, sir. Gentlemen, just a point of personal privilege here. It's come to my attention, reference to some councilors are kind of grumbling a little bit, and also clerk's office, Mr. Shelby, in reference to the rules of procedure as it relates to information for council's business for city council meeting. I've asked Mr. Shelby to let us know what the rules is, what the rule is on that. So if you can elaborate on that now, Mr. Shelby, please.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Martin Shelby, City Council Attorney. Chairman Goods is making reference to Rule 7A under your general policies of rules of procedure, and it states as follows. All petitions, communications, staff reports, resolutions, ordinances, and other matters intended for the consideration of the City Council shall be filed with the office of the City Clerk on or before 2 p.m. on the Thursday prior to the meeting of the City Council. The City Clerk, in turn, shall assign such petitions, communications, resolutions, ordinances, and other matters to the most appropriate placement within the agenda, taking into consideration the request made at the time of placement on the agenda. Ordinances and resolutions related to fees are to be placed under staff reports. That is the rule, sir, 7A.
Thank you, sir. At this time, I'd like to put a motion on the floor. I guess I'll have to pass the gavel. Mr. Dingfeld?
Yes, sir.
I'm asking the City Council to request administrators to adhere to Rule 7A moving forward, including PowerPoint presentations to support City Council and having timely information prior to its meetings for its discussion, deliberations, and decisions. If I can get a second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? All right.
Yeah, I mentioned this before. I've gotten to the point where, although the agenda items are supposed to be here on Thursday or Friday, I have to read it on Wednesday night, and sometimes I have to read it twice. Like number 28 was changed substantially yesterday. I think at like 4 o'clock, and if any of us had events on Wednesday night, it would be difficult to look at it. But more importantly, it's about transparency for the public. Last week we had the presentation on toilet to tap, and it wasn't here until way late, and there wasn't even an agenda item for it. And so we need to make sure that the public has access to information. Thank you.
My understanding, years ago, Mr. Randa was chair, and my understanding, Mr. Randa was a stickler on getting those items in a timely fashion, from what I've heard. Just want to make sure that we adhere to the policy, and we know that sometimes there will be situations, and we can look at those situations as they arise, but we want to make sure that the clerk's office is being able to do their job as well. And my understanding, get kind of a little frustrated over there, so we want to make sure that we do what we need to do for this house. So I think, Mr. Dingfeld, you do have a motion on the floor by myself, and the second, Mr. Carls.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. No further discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Mr. Dingfeld, you don't mind, could you do a roll call vote on that, please, sir? You mind doing a roll call vote on that, sir?
Yes, ma'am. Madam Clerk?
Yes. Carlson,
Yes.
Maniscalco, Dingfelder,
Yes.
Citro,
Yes.
Vieira, Miranda, and Goods.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously with Vieira being absent.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Clerk. we have ceremonial presentation this time. I already see the young ladies from the Academy of Holy Name are already inside the room there. So if you don't mind, gentlemen, we'll go to item number 2, then we'll come back to 1, and then 3 from Mr. Citro. Mr. Miranda.
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
in the saving time, I'm going to follow Councilman Miranda down there. We still have 4 here for
Yes, we do.
fiscal
We still have a
quorum.
quorum. Thank you, sir.
I thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Can those Academy girls hear us in there? All right, let's see some enthusiasm. Girls, I want to hear from you. Let's hear it. I saw you guys outside, and it looked like you were having a good time.
Mr. Chair, I need to go down in a minute too, so I'll just wait till one of them
Right,
comes
we'll
back.
wait till Mr. Randall comes back up. You can go down, so we keep it for quorum. Just hold on, Coach. We're waiting for Mr. Miranda to get down there to do what he does best.
You got it.
I see him in the middle there. Here he comes.
Good morning. It's my pleasure this morning to be here with the champions of the 2021 softball season 3A championship from the Academy of Holy Names. This school is one of great legends in the city of Tampa and academia, and it started in 1881 under a mayor named George Boscombe Sparkman, who was the mayor, and he cut the ribbon, and I was there holding the ribbon. But Mr. Vargas, I've known you since you were a little young boy, and your mother and your father were teammates of mine in high school, and your father had the distinction of catching my first pitch in Cuba that they hit for a home run.
You know you were a legend.
True, you have to admit. Let me say this. I know that your school principal is not here today, Stephanie Nickchild, and I turn it over to you, Mr. Sparkman, and Mr. Vargas, and if you don't mind, I want to play the video first so that the public can understand why they're here and how they got here, because it's really incredible. And what these young ladies have done cannot be duplicated, only by them. Can you please play the video?
There it is. See it?
You guys see it right here.
You lived it.
You want to narrate it? Why don't you narrate
Can we get the video on the city council members, please?
We came into the inning down.
Well, let's replay that again so Mr. Vargas can narrate what happened.
So we came down in that inning, down a run, and it was a tight game throughout. We were going up against a Windermere Prep team that had been 25-1, but they hadn't had a chance to play a team like us yet. But just coming into the bottom half of that 7th inning after going down 3-2, the confidence that the coaching staff and the girls had in being able to come out, it was almost like it was going to happen. It was without a doubt. So the confidence of the kids and the coaching staff really paid off, and obviously the execution of that really was the key. But we haven't had a celebration like that in Academy since 1996, and as you can see from the end result here, it was an incredibly special moment, and one that we'll never forget as athletic department, as a coaching staff, or obviously as a group of young ladies who will be entrenched in history together for the rest of their lives.
Well, as you can see why and how and why they beat a team, and it's not about the individual characteristics or the ability of each player. It's the ability and characteristic to make a team to win the game. And you can see that by evidence here, how there was a little mistake made on the field by the opposition, and that runner noticed that and kept hitting for home and beat the throw. And that's what winning and losing is all about. And what's the difference between a winner and a loser? A loser falls and never gets up. A winner falls and gets up. And if he or she falls again, they get up again and keep trying. And the only difference is when you are a winner, you have fallen before, and you get up and go on and do what you have to do. And that's what these young ladies accomplished. Now for the certificates that we have here, I'll be the first one. would be to Kevin Vargas, the athletic director.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Thank you very
And
much.
I think we had enough pens just for this team. Those pens are about 40 years old. We haven't made any in a long time. So I don't know how Mary found them, but she found them. The head coach, Jeff Krohn. You want to say a few words, Jeff? That's enough. I know it might get you scared. We must be related. You don't have to do me up in TV, do you? You think you are, Rich Kelton? Assistant coach, Michael Valdez. Elise Gordney. Okay. And Samantha Miller. Let me bring Samantha. Samantha, can you come up for a second? Samantha is a unique player that had an opportunity. She got a scholarship at Georgetown University. I can't even spell the word Georgetown. But Samantha not only got a scholarship, she was a star athlete a year before she graduated as a senior. And as I recall from what I read, not that I recall it, I read it, that you were doing video graphing and understanding with University of Georgetown, so you were taking your first classes at home. That's correct? However, you felt that you had to give something back to the team. So you went back and became an assistant coach while going to college at the same time, 1,000 miles away from your school. And you didn't do it because you got paid for it. You did it because you wanted to give back from what you learned. And thank God, look at all these players that learned something from you, and we're very grateful for you to sit out a year because of COVID-19 and come back and go coach exactly where you play. Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
And the team support staff of Donald Schaefer, Krister Severini. Thank you. This is the first championship since 1996. There were only 3 other championships in the school's 140 years of being there. One was in basketball in 1996. And the lady who was on that staff is now what? Where's she at? I didn't recognize you. Now I know who you are. She was a star basketball player in 1996. Charisse, she is now the head of what?
Parks and Recreation.
I want to make
Department.
sure you know where you work.
Yes, sir. Parks and Recreation. City
Thank you very
of
much for the job you're doing. You've been doing a fantastic job, and I want you to play against John Bennett one day because I know you can beat him.
Tampa. I got it.
Right, Charisse Hill?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
All right. We want witnesses to be there too. Then and the other one was in volleyball back in 1970. This is the first ever that the school, from 140 years in existence, has won a championship in softball, ladies softball. And it's a marvelous thing, not because you won it, because you played as a team, and the results are there. But there was 15 ladies on the team, 7 are seniors. So if we could have the seniors come up, and we'll give the combination to the seniors. And when you come up, say your name, and please say what college you're going to.
Okay, I'll start. I'm Devin. I'm going to University of Florida.
I'm Chase Cordovez. I'm going to Florida State University.
Oh, good.
I'm Zeta. I'm going to St. Mary's, Notre Dame.
I'm Audrey. I'm going to the University of Alabama.
I'm Rachel, and I'm going to Providence College.
I'm Bella, and I'm going to Florida Southwestern.
I'm Kira, and I'm going to Villanova University.
This makes a very well feeling that not only are they great athletes, they're also very economically prepared for what's coming, the world they're going to face. And now the rest of the team, please. These are not the rest of the team. They're not the ones that are seniors. I shouldn't say the rest of the team.
So anybody, come on up, Lucy, you're up first.
Where's the?
The rest of you are going to say. Say your name and grade.
I'm Lucy Dyer, and I'm a junior.
I'm Amber Torres, and I'm a sophomore.
I'm Cameron Feast, and I'm a sophomore.
I'm Maisie Sigler, and I'm a freshman.
I'm Genevieve Cellini, and I'm a sophomore.
I'm Kayala Hollenkamp, and I'm a freshman. I'm Camille Pacharka, and I'm a freshman. I'm Chloe Pleasance, and I'm a freshman.
That's our team.
And the difference between a freshman and a senior is that when a room's so small, they're all going to be sophomores by the time we leave. They're going to go backwards in life. The room is kind of small for these people, but individuals, I appreciate it. This team played 24 games, 7 playoff games, 14 consecutive wins as championships. And it's amazing that they had a real tough schedule. Everyone contributed on each play, and amazing work ethic, supported administrative coaches and parents, and they had a championship summary. However, can someone tell me the difference between a winner and a loser in softball? I just gave you the answer earlier.
A winner falls and doesn't get up, or a loser, sorry, a loser falls and doesn't get up, and a winner will get up and try again.
Exactly right. So you got the form. Now, anyone else? Coach, you want to say anything? The athletic director?
I just want to thank the council. That's it.
Thank them.
I want to thank the council members for inviting us down here today. Obviously, as Councilman Miranda mentioned, this is a historic feat for our school and one that we have a great deal of pride in. And one of the things that I just wanted to share with you is these young ladies and our coaching staff didn't only make the Academy of the Holy Names proud, they made the entire city of Tampa proud, and we're honored to bring the city of Tampa our most recent championship. So once again, just thank you for honoring us, and congratulations to our 2021 3A softball state champions.
Again, that concludes today's presentation. Again, we want to say thank you, not because you won the state championship, but how you won it and how hard you worked for it. And if you do that in life, you're always going to be successful. Just keep trying and you'll get there. Thank you very much, City Council, for allowing us. I want to thank the parents that are downstairs for making wonderful kids like this one here, brought them up in a great atmosphere and in an area that you understand about life. And that's what it's all about. Thank you very much, parents. Appreciate it very much. Buena suerte.
Mr. Maniscalco, anything, sir? Mr. Carlson.
I just wanted to echo the comments of my colleague and thank all of you and congratulate you for this big win. Thanks also to Sharisha Hills for leading the way and also for her leadership in the city. Those of you who are seniors mentioned your credentials and where you're going to school, and it's very, very impressive. I think all of us were impressed with that. And congrats also to the parents that have raised all of you all to be smart and successful. But the most important thing is we need more people like you, smart and successful people, to come back to Tampa. I think almost all of you are studying outside of Tampa. And so in 2 or 3 years, as you're getting ready to graduate, or during the summers, if you're trying to figure out if there's any opportunity in Tampa for you, please let us know. We're all connected, and we need interns in the city of Tampa, and we can help you in the community. Whatever your interest is, there's an opportunity here for you in Tampa. And to the parents, if you're having trouble recruiting them back, please let us know, because these are the kinds of people that we need to come to Tampa to start businesses and make our community thrive. And congrats again for your success.
Mr. Dingfeldt, you're recognized.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and young ladies, congratulations. Awesome accomplishment. I feel like I've been with you guys, even though I haven't been to one game. But John Bennett, who I think is hanging around out there, and which one's his daughter? There she is. Anyway, John Bennett's been keeping us posted game by game, and I couldn't believe he was so excited at your win, and we were too. Academy of Holy Names has an amazing history of academics and also service to the community. Some of the young ladies at your school are involved with Mr. Citro and myself with our Rotary Club. I don't know if any of you guys do the Youth Rotary program, but great service you provide back to the community, and congratulations on your big win. Thank you.
I see Mr. Citro in the back there. You have anything to say, Mr. Citro?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Ladies, congratulations to you on your wonderful year, but let's not forget the ones that have taught you how to play the game. Congratulations, ladies.
Thank you.
Where's the coach at? Coach, head coach.
Jeff is calling.
It's your time to shine.
Get the coach up here. Coach, I understand what it is to be a coach. To coach for many, many years in youth athletics. Most of our NCAA programs I put together, youth football, some baseball programs, so I understand what it is to be a coach. But I understand the feeling of being a champion. It's the most exciting feeling that you were able to coach young people. They listen to you. They inspired to be the best. And at the end, they got a championship. No one can ever take that away from them. That's something you can never, ever take because it's in the record books. You're a champion. The school's a champion. The parents are a champion. What I can say, I know a lot about Academy of Holy Names. My good friend, Principal Delia DiCaprio Gatson, who's the principal at Shihai Elementary School, talks about the school all the time and the great, wonderful professors and teachers over that school. And again, I look at our parks director, Ms. Hills, who's a basketball champion herself. So I just look at the history of the school, and I want to say thank you for your leadership with these young ladies, and congratulations to you all and to your parents. God bless you all.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
All right, we'll go to item number...
You are dismissed.
Dismissed. I see Mr. Citro down there, so we'll go to item number 3 since he's down there. I think Mr. Randall gets back. Mr. Carlson will go down there for item number 2. Citro's already down there already, so yeah, you have yeah.
Congratulations to you on that. Let's have a repeat, just like the rest of our team.
All right. Once she cleans the lectern, item number 3, Mr. Citro. He has the walk-up.
Mr. Chair, thank you very much. And it looks like it's a girls' rule kind of day. I want to say, first of all, I am so proud of this young lady, but I am also jealous of this young lady. This is Miss Elise Meerdick. Did I say it correctly? Yes. Okay, wonderful. She went up to Augusta National. Now, if no one in this room knows about Augusta National, that is where the Masters play. And just for this young lady to sink a putt on the 18th hole, again, I am so jealous. She was the winner of the drive, chip, and putt national finals, again in Augusta, Georgia, at the Masters, where the Masters is played, for the girls ages 10 and 11 division for this last year. Now, I'm just going to give you a couple of her stats. Her drive. Her first attempt was 227 yards. Her second attempt was 226 yards. We have to remember that this young lady is only 11 years old, and I doubt there's any members on council that could hit it much past her. Her chips were with, one was a little over 2 foot, one was a little over 8 foot. Her putts, her first putt, and again, the greens at Augusta National are like putting on a basketball court, lightning fast. Her first putt went by 8 foot. I watched the videos. You could see there was a little shaking in her eyes on how fast the greens were, but she sunk her second putt in 1 putt. Again, I am amazed at this young lady, and I know that great things are going to come from her, and that is the reason why I asked City Council to give this commendation. It is presented to Ms. Elise Meerdick, the 2021 National Drive, Chip, and Putt Champion. The City Tampa commends you on your first place win at the girls 10 and 11 age division at the 2021 Drive Chip and Putt National Finals at Augusta, Georgia. Your persistence, dedication, composure has served you well on the golf course and will serve you well in life. We celebrate your contribution to the legacy of champions for the city of Tampa. It is with pleasure that the Tampa City Council present you, Elise Meerdick, with this commendation on the 3rd day of June 2021. Now, Mr. Chairman, if I could, I would like to hear from her. Come stand up in here. What was going through your mind when you missed, when you missed that first putt and you had to step back and gain composure to make the second putt?
Well, when I hit the putt, I knew that it was probably too hard, and I was just hoping that it wouldn't go too far by, because before I hit my first putt, I looked up at the scoreboard and I saw that I had 11 feet or closer between the two putts to win. So I was just hoping that it would be within that 11 feet so that I still had a chance on the second putt, which it was. And I was kind of shocked at first when it went really far by, but I knew that I had to kind of compose myself and just focus on the second putt. Otherwise, if I didn't, it wouldn't have gone well. So,
Mr. Chair, thank you. I open it up to you and the council members.
Mr. Maniscalco, you done anything, sir? Ms. Dingfelder, you're recognized.
Well, thanks, Joe. Thanks for bringing this fantastic young lady into council. And I imagine those two folks smiling back there might have something to do with her accomplishments. You want to bring them forward, Joe? And we'd like to acknowledge them as well.
Yes.
And what's the home course? That's what I was wondering about. Where do you guys play out of?
my home course is Avila Golf and Country Club.
Very nice, very nice. Well, we're so proud of your accomplishments. You're standing next to Councilman Citro, who I've played golf with once and only once because he's way too good for me. Joe hits a mean ball, so the two of you need to go out together and see how we do. But congratulations, Elise. Fantastic. And I only have one word for your future 7 years from now is go Gators. Think about it.
Mr. Rand, anything, sir?
I just want to say congratulations. Golf is a very difficult game to play. I've hit every pond and every river and every ocean. Even though when there wasn't water, I'd fall in water. So I want to congratulate you for doing what you do much better than 99% of us that play the game. Thank you so very much.
It's so ironic. We've got a golfer here this morning, and I just was getting online. I'm supposed to go to a golfing tournament this weekend, and I was looking at the clubs I have, and I don't have a right-hand putter. It's a left-hand putter. And I went the last time to golf, I was wondering why I had difficulties. And I figured out it's a wrong side putter. So I just got online to find a putter. So what do you use, Elise? Because obviously you're a great putter making this 18 holes. So what do you use? I'm curious. What brand?
I use a right-handed tailor-made putter. It's an Ardmore 3.
All right.
Well, thank you for that information. And what I can tell you is that, you know, you saw some other champions just before you. Obviously, you're on that way to being a great champion and everything you're doing, especially on the golf course. So congratulations to you and your parents.
Thank you.
I've got 3 requests of you. Number one, if you ever need someone to loop for you, I'll be more than happy to carry your bag. Number 2, don't give up now. You're on a great path. I'd like to see you be the first female to play in the Masters. And number 3, would you sign my glove, please?
Joe, you're a groupie.
Well, I'm telling you, you have to find out what equipment they use, what kind of ball they use, what kind of glove. Because when she turns pro, I can't display this any longer. Because if she's using a different type of glove, contractual agreements. A little smiley face. I love it. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, City Council. Thank you all very much. Congratulations.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Congratulations, parents.
All right. I think Mr. Carlson is up next with item number 1 for ceremonial activities.
We ready, Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir, I'm ready, sir. Anytime you are.
Okay, great. I'm excited today to give a commendation on behalf of City Council to one of the great neighborhood leaders of South Tampa, Marlon Anderson. There's a lot that I can say about Marlon. In a second, I'll read the commendation that we're going to give him. But I've known him because I was a neighborhood activist involved in a neighborhood association, and he put together years ago an organization of all the neighborhood associations in South Tampa, figuring that if we all work together that we could get more done. And they also, as part of that, every 4 years put together mayoral and city council debates, which we all participated in. And Marlon does a great job of being neutral through those things and also asking tough questions. So thank you for representing South Tampa and for all your leadership there and for making sure that the neighborhood leaders in South Tampa are effective at what they do. So I'll read this commendation. It says, "It is with sincere gratitude that the Tampa City Council presents this commendation to Marlon Anderson in honor of his service and leadership to the South Tampa neighborhoods. You started your public service as a member of the board of the Sunset Park Homeowners Association, serving as president for 8 years. During that time, you were engaged in numerous neighborhood issues, including stormwater drainage, water quality, and traffic congestion. As the founder of the South Tampa Neighborhood Coalition, you united South Tampa neighborhoods on issues affecting South Tampa while also organizing and promoting a new level of engagement for many citizens and providing opportunities for involvement. As the organizer of some of the best attended candidate forums in the city, you helped to educate the public on the various political candidates. Your kindness, generosity, and spirit and leadership that has inspired countless citizens have made the city of Tampa a better place." And so I'd like to have him speak for a few seconds. Maybe City Council would like to say something first.
Mr. Maniscalco?
Yes, sir. Marlon, I met you about 10 years ago, and Bill said it all, or Councilman Carlson said it all regarding the forums that you would put together for the candidates and your involvement in the neighborhood associations. You've always inspired me. You're a very good man. You're a very kind individual. And I appreciate your friendship and your dedication to serving the community in your many ways that you've done so. So thank you. Is this your first commendation from City Council?
Is it your first?
Yeah, because it's long overdue. I mean, you've been involved forever, and I'm surprised, you know, but well deserved, sir. Thank you, and it's good to see you.
Mr. Citro, anything?
I would be more than happy. Well, this is long overdue. You have been a member of our community that didn't want to be political, but was so much into politics. You made sure that the information of all the candidates that were out there, you held forums, you held questions, you held debates. And again, you weren't being political, but you were being political in letting people know the choices that they had before them. I remember the two that I attended with Miss Vicki Pallier as one of the board members. I thank you for everything you have done, not only for your area, but for the city of Tampa. Congratulations, my friend.
Mr. Dingfield, anything, sir?
Good morning, Marlon. Marlon and I not only go back in the neighborhoods, but we raised our children together. So anyway, Marlon, can't say enough about all you do for our community. It all starts in neighborhoods as far as I'm concerned, and we're glad to have a leader like you. So keep it up. Thank you. Good to see you, Marlon.
Mr. Moran, anything, sir?
Marlon, I just want to say thank you to do what you've done and hold these political meetings where you have all the candidates come up and you do it in a fashion, or have done it in a fashion, I hope you continue somehow to do it, that was not favorable to one or favorable to another, but favorable to all. And you held the crowd in check as to when they got too much on one side on one candidate. You said, let's spread it out among all the candidates, and you did something that very few can do, and we want to thank you for what you've done. I know you've been there a long time ago, Mr. Frankhouse, Ms. Margaret Veazey, the rest of them that have done an outstanding job, and you were part of the core of that apple that put the tree on to develop an orchard, and we want to say thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Miranda. Mr. Anderson, I've seen you around town a lot. different communities, talking to people, letting them understand about the need to have strong communities and associations. So I just want to say thank you for your service. And thank you, Mr. Carlson, for recognizing it.
I should also add that we were going to give this to him about a year ago, and then COVID hit, and we thought it was so important we wanted to do it in person. Would you like to say something?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for this, City Council. This is a great honor. I didn't really expect this, but it happened. And, you know, I would like to say that I love the City of Tampa. I love the residents of the City of Tampa, and it has been my pleasure to do my part to help make this great city a better place in which to live. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you.
Okay, great.
Madam Deputy Clerk, we did not approve the agenda
So
and the
moved.
addendum.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Maniscalco, second by Mr. Citro. All in favor?
Aye.
As far as staff reports, I've looked at them, and most of them have to do with being present, but we will go through as promised. I know Chief Bennett has something for 57. Anybody have any questions on 58? 59?
Hold on. I gotta catch,
If we need to release anybody, if so,
let me catch it.
no?
57, 58. Oh, 61, I think it'd be good to have somebody speak to.
All right, 61. No, I already had an asterisk by that already, and in 59, I had an asterisk by as well. So we have 58, no problem releasing Mr. Beard on 58. All right, 59. That's a report anyway, so we're gonna hear from that. 60. All right, that's a report on that. 61 need to appear. 62 is a draft presentation. And 63 need to appear to present. So I think the only one we need to release is Mr. Beard on 58. All right. We'll move into public comment. We'll go to the second floor.
There was a motion and a vote, Madam Clerk, on that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning, Councilman. My name is Trey Weingart. I'm an attorney at Hill Ward Henderson, and I'm here speaking about resolution at number 30 on the agenda. It involves a release of easement, ROE 2116. The request was made by the property owner at 505 South Royal Palm Way. I'm here speaking on behalf of Gordon and Barbara Babbitt, who live adjacent at 4604 West Beach Park Drive. Now, the reason that we're hearing a bit of background about 505 South Royal Palm Way, that property, it exists, it's in orange here on the sheet. Previously, the property had an alleyway behind it and sort of a roundabout that's called Lot E here. Now, Lot E was not a non-buildable lot when this was platted approximately 100 years ago. And there was an easement that ran through that alleyway that's highlighted in yellow. Now that alleyway and the easement still exists today. Nevertheless, about a year ago, this parcel was combined so that Lot 4 and Lot E were combined into one lot. However, the easement never was released, and Lot E never became a buildable lot. The city council or the city code requires that a lot have no interior angle of less than 30 degrees. However, this angle in Lot E is only 26 degrees. So this lot's not currently buildable. However,
The property owner has begun construction in Lot E and in what is still an easement. Now, the reason that we're here today and the reason that this is important is that when the Babbitts and their neighbors in this area purchased this property, they did so with the understanding that this easement acted as a barrier between the structures and the homes in the historic Beach Park neighborhood, and that's the way it's been for 100 years since it was originally platted. The result of releasing this easement today will be that the construction in the easement will continue, and a home that is a building that is 36 foot tall will be built only 7 feet from the Babbitt's backyard, from their pool. And what that will mean is that for the Babbitt's property specifically, there'll be 2-story buildings on all 3 sides not facing the street of their property, built only 7 feet from the lot line. And in this beautiful Beach Park neighborhood that has existed in this state for more than a century, there will be lot line to lot line construction. I brought a couple pictures demonstrating this is what the area looked like before the construction began. You can see all of the trees and everything in the area. This is since the construction has began. The trees have been removed in this whole large area, and you can see there's a very small sliver that extends back, far back into the property. And then this is what it looks like now, and you can see how slim that area is, and that is right where the easement runs, and that's where the construction is being conducted currently. So the reason we're here and the reason that we're asking that this easement not be released is because, as I stated, the Babbitts and the neighbors in the beautiful and historic Beach Park neighborhood have relied on this easement for more than a century to protect the integrity and the overall the way the neighborhood has been and the way the neighborhood should continue to be. So we ask that the council please deny the request for release. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Dingfeld, you recognize.
Thank you, sir. I didn't catch your name at the beginning.
You bet. My name is Trey, T-R-A-E, Weingart, W-E-I-N-G-A-R-D-T, and I'm with Hill Ward Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Weingart. Listen, could you put up that picture? I think it was the second to the last photograph. I was reading through some of this yesterday.
Is that the one?
Yes.
If
I don't
could
think
interrupt,
I don't think it's a public hearing. I think it's just on the agenda on consent.
Correct. The release of easement is Andrea Zellman, Deputy City Attorney. My concern is we are aware through other correspondence from Mr. Weingart, I believe is his name, that they may be pursuing legal action against the city with regard to not the release of easement that's before you today, but a prior determination made by the zoning administrator. So I'm a little concerned about getting too deep into the weeds on the development of the property, because that is what will be at issue should they pursue litigation. So I would ask that you keep any comments or questions confined to the item on the agenda, which is simply the release of easement. And Ron Wigington of our office is prepared to discuss that when the item comes up. I know it was pulled from the agenda to be discussed as part of the addendum. So hopefully that was clear. Thank you.
Ms. Zellman, I appreciate the heads up, because one of my questions was going to be related to the construction, but I will not ask that question. I do have a question as related to item 30, unless somebody's going to tell us that item 30 is going to be struck from today's agenda.
No, but Mr. Dingfelder, Martin Shelby, the City Council Attorney, you have not had the opportunity to hear from Mr. Wigington from the legal department relative to the background of this before you ask you questions that may be relevant to what you will be asking. I think you're asking, again.
You're wrong.
Okay, so I'm looking at a picture, and what I wanted to ask the gentleman was if he could use his finger to show us where the subject easement is. It's been hard to see.
Certainly.
On the, from the computer side of things, so if you could just show us where the subject easement is for item 30.
I'll do my best here with the Alamo. If you remember the plat and you saw Lot E, this is Lot E right here, and the easement runs sort of along what this looks like a white fence line here. and comes and curves right here where the property narrows.
And where is the Babbitt house?
The Babbitt house is this house right here.
Okay.
So if I can switch pictures for you just momentarily.
And when was the vacating? Because I understand the alley was actually, or the I don't know what it is, an alley or right of way, was vacated a while back. Do you know when that was, Mr.
That's
Weinberg?
right. So you're right. There was a right of way, and then there's a separate utility easement. I believe the right of way was abandoned back in the 50s. From my review of this, it appears that it was the lots that are to the west were originally going to be commercial lots, and that alleyway was going to serve them. Ultimately, they became individual, not commercial, and because of that, the alley was abandoned.
All right. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it, and thank you again, Ms. Zellman, for your heads up.
Thank you. And I'll stick around if you have any more questions during the discussion of the agenda item.
Thank you.
All right, next speaker. Anytime you're ready, sir.
Yes, sir. Steve Michelini. I'm here representing Milana Homes, who is requesting this release of easement. And I'd like to remind the council that the easement is on property that they own. It's not property that the Babbitts own or they have any rights to. There is no need for that easement. It's been already determined by the city through its review process that there are no reservations there for any kind of utilities. It's currently not being used, and that's why it's coming to you as a request to release the easement, because typically the easements are held in trust by the city for public use, and there is no public use that's been identified, and that's per the staff report. And as far as Mr. Weingard's presentation regarding what it was historically, that's not relevant to this request. It may have been useful 100 years ago or 50 years ago or 60 years ago, whenever, but it's not currently being used and it has no public purpose right now. And so that's why the easement request, the release is in there. The alley, as Mr. Dingfelder pointed out, has already been vacated. So the rights of passage there have been released. And I'm not really sure why they didn't release the easement when they released when they vacated the alley, but for whatever reason they didn't. And a letter has already been sent to Mr. Weingard regarding the city's determination for setbacks and related issues. Typically on triangular shaped lots, the narrowest part of the lot is the front. And they've already determined that this is a front that is on Royal Palm Way, and then the sides are respectively on the Babbitt side, although that's their rear yard, it's the side yard for this particular parcel. So I'll be staying around for further discussion later on. We've had discussions with the city attorney's office and with land development coordination regarding the matter, and we respectfully request you move forward with the release of easement as petitioned and supported by the city staff and city legal department. Thank you.
Can I see your hand, Mr. Dingfelder? You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. McLeany. Mr. Chairman, just for expediency, I'd have concern voting on this today because now we've heard from Ms. Zellman about potential litigation. We've got two lawyers here who are telling us, not two lawyers. We have a lawyer and a very, very smart land use guy, Steve McElhaney, telling us two different parts of this. I would suggest that, with respect to Mr. Maniscalco, that we defer this for 2 weeks so legal can meet with us individually and brief us individually in terms of what the city's role and responsibilities are, and as opposed to having this discussed in a public forum. especially in light of Ms. Zellman expressing concern about litigation. So that would be my suggestion.
Ms. Zellman, you recognize?
Yeah, Andrea Zellman again. I would ask that you let Ron Wigington go ahead and explain to you the actual easement request as distinguished from some of the other issues that were brought up. I'm not sure you can't go forward. I would.
I'm not
saying
saying we can't go forward. I'm just saying that it might not be prudent to go forward, and I haven't heard anything about any exigency of going today. So I just thought it might be more prudent to defer it for 2 weeks.
Mr. Dingford, I would prefer we wait till we get to item number 30. Mr. Maniscalco has to be pulled, and at that time we can make a determination. We can continue on with public comment if you don't mind.
All right, no problem.
Rod Wigington, Legal Department. I'm sorry for interrupting. Again, as mentioned, this is going to be separate and apart from the development of this property. It's a simple release of easement that has been determined by our right-of-way mapping coordinator. That is no longer needed. I'm sorry. And as far as deferring, I have not been informed that there's any urgency to this item, so we are in agreement if that is the council's pleasure.
All right, Mr. Dingfellow, since you put it out there, Mr. Ron has said it's not that great urgency this time, I'll go ahead and entertain if you want to go ahead and continue for 2 weeks.
It's up to you and
Mr.
Mr. Maniscalco. It's, you know.
I spoke to Mr. Wigington yesterday to get clarity on this before I sent the memo to pull the item. I mean, I'm good with it, but if you want to, as he said, there's no sense of urgency if you want to defer it for 2 weeks, just so everybody can get on the same page. If they have any questions offline, whatever, I don't mind at all. So.
Second, and to defer.
What's by Mr. Dingfellow, second by Mr.
Right,
Miranda?
motion to defer for 2 weeks.
Defer for 2 weeks.
Is 2 weeks enough time?
I apologize, Andrea Zellman again. I just received a text from the Planning and Development Department. They asked for a 30-day window.
That takes us, I think, to a vacation day.
So July 15th would be the first regular meeting when we come back from that summer break.
Madam Clerk?
July 15 will be the next regular session after the break.
Okay, all right.
Dingfellow, you change your motion to July 15th. I'll second it.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Dingfellow, second by Mr. Miranda. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion moved, claims consent, July 15th.
Mr. Chairman, Martin Shelby.
Mr. Shelby, you recognized.
Thank you, sir. That resolves the issue for item number 30.
That is correct, sir.
On the agenda. Thank you.
That is correct. All right, we'll continue on with public comment.
Thank you, Council.
And Mr. Shelby, were you saying that should come under unfinished business instead of consent? So it will be voted on separately?
That'll be your pleasure, but certainly that would be the case.
Yeah, that would be my request, Mr. Chairman.
Would the clerk then notate this for unfinished business then, please? Thank you.
Morning, sir.
Morning. Mentizna, Tampa, Florida. One thing you always have to recognize, and always African people have to recognize, how they do us dirty and they do us nasty. Now, they cut my time off. I was up next to speak. They cut my time off, sent somebody else up. And they have all kind of discussion about an easement. And for 30 years, I've been coming down here talking about we 26% of the population. They talking about a right of way of an alley and who have rights to it and whatnot. I've been talking about we're 26% of this population and we don't enjoy 26% of the city budget in any way whatsoever. And we get about 90% of the bad treatment of the police department and everybody else. And nothing about that. Absolutely, positively nothing about that. It's a disrespect and a disregard they have for African people. It's a hatred they have for African people. And they have us like we supposed to be cool about participating in our own oppression. We supposed to be cool about over 600,000 bicycle stops. We supposed to be cool about what code enforcement do throughout our communities. We supposed to be cool about police violence. All these things we supposed to be cool about. We supposed to be cool that they adding on taxes to help Buccaneer, a team with a racist name, Buccaneer. They're adding on taxes to help them, but not to help our communities, or our people, or our youth. And we're supposed to be cool with that form of oppression. And we're supposed to be insulted and be cool about it. I'm supposed to be cool about wearing a shirt down here, and y'all got police officers want to put you out, want to arrest you, want to put you in handcuffs. And my shirt looks offensive, but whosoever is responsible for South Tampa, that junkyard they have running through Gandy Boulevard, a straight junkyard that they have running through Gandy Boulevard that they call an expressway, that need to be removed, an eyesore. And the junkyards they have putting up around everybody's home in South Tampa, they call them apartment complexes, but they're offended by a shirt that I wear. And they want to put the police on me to arrest me, but they got a junkyard running down through Gandy Boulevard, and every time it rains, they have a cesspit, a cesspool up in Henderson and Del Mabry, a main thoroughfare they can't figure out. For 50 years, they can't figure out the water leakage or the water drainage on Henderson and Del Mabry. Man, y'all offend African people. Y'all offend black people. Y'all offend us in the worst way, the same way they offended us in Rosewood, Florida, Tulsa, Oklahoma, and other places. It's offensive. It's highly offensive. And the way they skipped my turn this morning, that was highly offensive.
Thank you, Mr. Tisnot. Thank you, sir. That's if in person. All right, we'll go to the
No more
registered
speakers
call.
at this time.
Thank you, sir. How many registered speakers do we have?
Good morning, Chair. Michael Randolph registered to speak, however, he did not phone in to participate. Trey Winghart participated in chambers with you all this morning. So the next speaker is going to be Barbara Babbitt. Barbara, if you're on the line, please unmute yourself, and you have 3 minutes to speak. Barbara, please unmute yourself.
Okay, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I'm Barbara Babbitt, and my husband and I bought our home at 4604 West Beach Park Drive over 23 years ago. And at that time, we relied on the existing easement behind our property to serve as a buffer for future development. It was our understanding that the abandoned alleyway, which includes the easement known as Lot E on the paperwork, was a non-buildable lot with no street access. Before the purchase of the property by Mr. Martin, Lot E was home for a very long time to many, many mature trees. I have the pleasure of walking the Beach Park neighborhood every day. We've had a wealth of new homes join our neighborhood during the 23 years we've lived here. All of these new homes have been consistent and respectful of keeping with the beauty of our neighborhood. I watched from my backyard. All of these trees were chopped down and carried away, including ones on the reserved easement. It made me feel ill. The removal of all these trees was a devastating loss to our historic neighborhood. The release of this easement will cause not only a complete loss of our privacy in our backyard, as the two-story secondary structure is 7 feet from our wrought iron fence, but it will also have a significant loss of our property value. Right now, we have two-story homes 7 feet from the property on both sides. The release of this easement will make all sides of our property 7 feet from two-story structures, essentially boxing us in on all 3 sides. I think it's important to note that construction on 505 Royal Palm has already begun on top of the easement, even though the easement has not been released. The building is already about 4 foot out of the ground. The application for the release of the easement was filed only after we objected to construction on the easement. I guess Mr. Martin is now asking for forgiveness instead of permission. It is hard to believe that the starting of construction on an easement before applying to have the easement released is lawful. Again, we relied on this easement in making the decision to purchase our home years ago, and I respectfully ask that you deny the application for its release. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Chair, that's going to conclude general public comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Move on to item number 3. We have anybody from staff to speak on this item?
Mr. Chairman, did council want a discussion or presentation on this? Because we could move that to the 1:30 then, to have the presentation. This is the issue of council's initiative to amend the code to allow for authority to issue citations for parking tickets. It's in response to council's request.
Mr. Maniscalco, you recognized.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is what I had brought up regarding parking on the right-of-way, commercial vehicles and whatnot, anything from semi-trucks, general commercial equipment meaning like large trucks, vans that people are parking in the neighborhoods throughout the city, and it would allow us to issue citations, parking tickets to hopefully enforce this and remedy this, because I've received so many complaints, many of us have, from so many parts of the city in regards to folks just parking commercial vehicles wherever they want. I had made this motion that it be come back for first reading, which is what we have today, and that would be it. So we would allow our code enforcement officers the authority to ticket and cite these individuals and encourage and motivate them to stop parking all over the neighborhoods.
Thank you. So I see Ms. Zellman up, and I see someone else from legal on the screen.
I was just going to tell you that Patrick Perez is available. He had previously provided a report to you, and the direction was for him to go ahead and prepare this ordinance for first reading. But if you have any additional questions, he is available to answer them.
Any questions, gentlemen? All right.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. I just want to agree with Mr. Maniscalco. This is not, in some areas, it's much more evident that these things are happening, in other areas less. But in the areas that this is happening in, if it continues that way, we're going to have a neighborhood that will deteriorate and will not keep up with the rest of the neighbors in the city of Tampa. And for equality, I want to thank Mr. Maniscalco for working diligently on this and get this done and final over. And I hope that it's not only a police department, but others that are city departments to veer in and explain it to the chief of staff through the direction that he gave us to Marley, I believe it is, to get these things done. Call them in so they can send somebody to view what, they got to see what's going on before they start giving out tickets. Thank you very much.
Ms. Shelby, I see you stand up. You have a comment, sir? Ms. Citro, you recognize.
Mr. Chair, thank you very much. Councilman Maniscalco, thank you very much for bringing this to the attention. This is something I hate to say is long overdue. The city is lacking in sidewalks. If we have commercial vehicles or any other type of vehicles that are parked along our sidewalks right now, it just forces people to walk into the street. Again, thank you, Councilman Maniscalco.
Anyone else?
In fact, one more bite at the apple, sir, and I
You recognize,
apologize.
sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. This is not only on sidewalks, as Mr. Citro said, which it is, this is also on the right-of-way, where you park not only the tractor, but the tractor and the trailer right there and leave it there from Friday to Saturday to Sunday, sometimes 3 and 4 or 5 days. And you can't see behind these big vehicles. Somebody's going to get hurt. If not, somebody's going to get killed. This is, public service needs to understand that this is as small as it is, it's something that could be between life and the ultimate of not having life. So it's something that's been needed for a long time, and we're not trying to scare anybody out of the city. We're trying to make it the same holistic quality of life all over the city. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. I see legal on the screen. Did you have anything to say, sir?
Good morning, Council. Patrick Perez, Assistant City Attorney. No, sir, I'm just here if you have any questions that I can help answer, but as Councilman said, that this is what we brought back after Council's motion. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And Madam Deputy Clerk, for the record, Mr. Vieira is here. All right, I'll entertain a motion for item number 3. Mr. Maniscalco has made a motion. Mr. Randall has seconded.
Wait, I got to read the ordinance.
I got to read the ordinance.
First, Mr. Perez, I just want to thank you for your hard work on this. I appreciate you being so responsive, answering all questions, and bringing this to fruition. So thank you for your hard work, sir. I have an ordinance being presented for first reading consideration, an ordinance of the City of Tampa, Florida, relating to the authority to issue parking citations, making revisions to City of Tampa Code of Ordinances, Chapter 15, Parking, amending Article 1, Administrative Provisions, Division 1, General Provisions, Administrative Authority, Definitions, Section 15-4.5, Authority to issue citations for parking tickets, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict therewith, providing for severability, providing an effective date.
Second.
Mr. Maniscalco, no motion. Mr. Randall has seconded. Roll call.
Dingfelder,
Yes.
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Citro,
Yes.
Miranda,
Yes.
Vieira,
Yes.
and Goods.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously. Second reading and adoption will be held on July 15, 2021 at 9:30 a.m.
Thank you, ma'am. Public Safety Committee, consent agenda items number 4 through 7. Mr. Citro.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to move items number 4 through 7.
Second.
Mr. Citro has moved item 4 through 7. Mr. Miranda has seconded. Roll call vote.
Miranda,
Yes.
Vieira, Dingfelder, Maniscalco, Carlson,
Yes.
Citro,
Yes.
and Goods.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
Thank you, ma'am. Parks and Rec, items 8 through 9. Mr. Maniscalco.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, I move items 8 through 9.
Second.
Motion is moved by Mr. Maniscalco, second by Mr. Miranda. Roll call vote.
Vieira, Dingfelder, Maniscalco,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Citro,
Yes.
Miranda,
Yes.
and Goods.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
Public Works Committee, items 10 through 23. Mr. Dingfelder.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before I move my items, I just wanted to give a shout out to our purchasing department, who I, on occasion, like to poke and jab at, but on this occasion, in regard to items 13 and item 21, these are multi-million-dollar chemical purchases. In looking at the bid sheets, the city and especially the purchasing department did an excellent job with these bids, saved the city taxpayers and ratepayers hundreds of thousands of dollars in putting these out to bid, and it was a very competitive bidding atmosphere. So I just wanted to commend the purchasing department, Mr. Spearman and his team, items 13 through 21. With that, Mr. Chairman, I will gladly move items 10 through 23.
Second.
Mr. Dingfelder has moved. Mr. Maniscalco has seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Maniscalco,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Yes.
Miranda,
Yes.
Vieira, Dingfelder,
Yes.
and Goods.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
All right, we go to Finance Committee, items 24 through 26. Mr. Miranda.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Move items 24 through 26.
Second.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Maniscalco, second by Mr. Citro. Roll call vote.
Dingfelder, Maniscalco,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Citro,
Yes.
Miranda,
Yes.
Vieira, and Goods.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
All right, we'll go to Building Zoning, items 27 through 39. 28 has a substitute. Number 30 has already been voted on and will be continued to July 15th. Mr. Carlson?
Yes, sir, and if I could, I need to abstain from item number 38, and I have a form here that I'd like to file, if I could, and make a motion to receive and file that, just for the public disclosure, the company with whom I am retained is a tenant of the property, which is the subject of this resolution. So I'd like to file this form if possible.
All right, so if you can move all the items except 38, and then we'll take a separate vote on 38 since you have.
And then also, I'd like to separately make a comment. I asked some questions about item number 28. I think, I'm sure you all do research on these items as we're looking at them. As I read the original version you saw, we got an amended version yesterday. It appeared as if the money was going to One Tampa. It was not clear where the money was going on this. I did talk to staff, and it was clarified that it's going to Reach instead of One Tampa. But in that, I found out that One Tampa a year ago was a program of the city. Now it's been, I looked on Sunbiz, it's been set up as a nonprofit. And there's not much information on it yet because it's in the process of being set up with separate bank accounts. But I just wanted to state, I have some concerns about the city owning and controlling nonprofits. I think that if the city is going to partner with a nonprofit, it should be a nonprofit that is known by the public and has transparency and accountability to the public. You all know I've had some concerns about the EDC, which does not provide full transparency, although it's a known nonprofit. If there are nonprofits, it sounds like there are several nonprofits that are owned by the city, and I think we need to provide full transparency on where all the money's going. In this case, it appears that it will be transparent because it's going to a known nonprofit, but in the future, I would, since I can't talk to you all offline, I would just watch this to make sure that we know who the nonprofits are that money's going to, how they're going to allocate the money, who they need to disclose who the board members are and how decisions are made, what the administrative fees are, and if it's a nonprofit owned by the city, I think we even need to look at it more closely.
Maybe that's something you need to bring up under new business.
So with that said, I would like to move items number 27, 28, 29, and then 31 through 37, and then 39.
And that's the substitute resolution for 29.
Including the substitute on 28.
Mr. Dingfield, you're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Carlson, I think by strange coincidence, I actually poked down that rabbit hole as well this week and spoke with Mr. Massey a little bit about because I saw that he had been the attorney who created the One Tampa nonprofit, and saw who some of the board members were that were listed on the state's website. So anyway, we had a little chat about it. There he is on our screen, in case he wants to give us a little more information, Mr. Chairman, before we vote.
Mr. Massey, you recognized.
Yes, sir. For point of clarification, One Tampa Inc. is not involved with any of the items on your agenda. One Tampa Inc. is not really the program that we instituted back in April of 2020 when COVID first hit. That was the names are the same, but they're different things. One Tampa Inc. was formed by the city. It's primarily an entity to provide to try to seek private funds to assist us in our various strategic efforts. Since it's related to the city, all the meetings are in the sunshine. There's notice taken. You all can attend them. We have minutes that we are happy to give you. It's still, Mr. Carlson's correct, we are still in kind of the organization stage of that, but that's really the purpose of One Tampa Inc. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Mr. Manelli, you recognize.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Massey. I appreciate that, Mr. Chairman. I want to make sure that Mr. Massey would say on the record that this is not for any non-profit things of any political substitution, no political entity, just to help somebody who's in need, if I recall.
Correct. Well, the One Tampa program was set up to help folks that were affected by COVID. One Tampa Inc. Cannot be politically involved at all. It's just a fundraising, primarily fundraising to assist in charitable efforts and community efforts by the city.
And in fact, I contributed to One Tampa back in April of 2020, and I thought that there was something wrong. I would have never made a contribution to that 501c3, I guess. And there's we meet. Does that organization that we're talking about have all the records from day one to now?
Well, again, the program was set up before the corporation was set up. So the program was the city program, but yes, from the date of incorporation on, all those records are public records and are open to everyone for inspection. Happy to provide all that information to all of you. It's totally being operated subject to public records and sunshine.
And furthermore, the other 501c3s, do they adhere to the same rules? They have open records, they have records of everything as far as transparency?
Not every 501c3 is subject to public records and sunshine laws. Because this is related to the city, we are taking the added steps to make sure that it is totally open and subject to public records laws and sunshine.
Thank you very much.
All right, Mr. Carlson has moved items.
One follow-up. Just one follow-up. Yeah, the confusion, even in that conversation, the confusion is that the same name has been used with a program of the city that probably the check that you wrote went to the city, not to the nonprofit. The nonprofit is new, and it turns out that one of our constituents sent us an email about this also. We just need to make sure that for the purposes of the public that we all know what we're putting money into. And not implying that anything wrong has happened. We just need to make sure that we fully communicate with the public who it is. And I was confused by the fact that there's two entities or two programs that have the same name.
And I apologize, I never got that email. If I did get it, I didn't read it. I'm sorry, I apologize.
Mr. Carlson, maybe, again, maybe in the new business, you might make a motion, they can have a report and give us some information in the future. We have items 27 through 39, excluding number 38. Mr. Carlson will be abstaining from that, and with the substitute motion. Are you moving that, sir?
Yes.
Second.
Mr. Carlson has moved it. Mr. Miranda has seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Citro.
Yes.
Miranda.
Yes.
Vieira.
Yes.
Dingfelder.
Yes.
Maniscalco.
Yes.
Carlson.
Yes.
And Goods.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
All right, Mr. Carlson will step out a second, and the alternate was Mr. Vieira.
Yes,
He's
sir.
walked
I
through the
hereby
door.
move the item that, what item was that Councilman
38,
Carlson?
sir.
30, yes, I move that item.
38.
38.
38, yes, sir.
Second.
All right, Mr. Vieira has moved item number 38. Mr. Miranda has seconded. Roll call vote on the item.
Maniscalco.
Yes.
Carlson abstains. Citro.
Yes.
Miranda.
Yes.
Vieira.
Yes.
Dingfelder.
Yes.
And Goods.
Yes.
Motion carried with Carson abstaining.
All right, Mr. Vieira, transportation, items 40 through 41.
Yes, sir. Move items 40 and 41.
Second.
Mr. Vieira has moved it. Mr. Maniscalco has seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Miranda.
Yes.
Vieira. Dingfelder.
Yes.
Maniscalco.
Yes.
Carlson.
Yes.
Citro.
Yes.
And Goods.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
All right, item number 42.
Motion to set public hearing for 42 to 47?
2020 at 10:30 a.m. Sorry.
All right, so are we moving, Mr. Item 42 to 40,
And 43, sir, 43, 44, 45, 46, and 47, I believe, sir, are all for August the 26th at 9:30 a.m. I move those, sir.
Mr. Miranda has moved those. Mr. Maniscalco is second, I believe.
Yep.
Roll call vote on that, Mr.
Is 42 part of the motion to set?
Yes, yes.
It is, so it's 42 through 47?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Dingfelder, you recognize your question?
Just clarification, 42 is a different date, July 29th at 10:30 a.m.
You would be correct, sir.
Okay.
Well, we passed 42 by itself
Right.
earlier.
Oh, we did it by itself?
sir.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor. We had a second. Roll call vote on Mr. Shelby?
Yes, please.
Citro.
Yes.
Miranda.
Yes.
Vieira.
Yes.
Dingfelder.
Yes.
Maniscalco.
Yes.
Carlson.
Yes.
And Goods.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
All right, we'll go ahead and get somebody to open the public hearings.
So move, Mr. Chairman. Items,
Mr. Miranda has opened the public hearings. Mr. Citro has seconded. All in favor?
items 51 through 55, I believe.
48.
Mr. Chair, if I will.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Just for the record, I'd like to say that I have seen and watched the videos of items 51 through 55. I was absent at first reading, and I have seen all the documentation. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Shelby, you're recognized.
Mr. Chairman, just for clarification, you have the 9 o'clock public hearings, 48 and 49. Are those open?
Well, everything's open. It's already 10:30 now, going 10:30.
Well, there was a motion to open all the
Motion to
hearings.
open all the hearings.
Okay.
Minus 56 because it's not 10:30 yet.
Okay, so is it the
My watch has 10:30.
is
Where's
it
your
the
watch,
council's,
Mr.
is it the council's intent to go in order and take 48 and 49 first then?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Item number 48.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of council. Jan McLean, Office of the City Attorney. I'm here on item number 48, the first of two public hearings for the proposed designation of a brownfield for the rehabilitation pursuant to Chapter 376 of Florida statutes. This proposed brownfield is a designation of a property that is located at 7210 Interbay Boulevard. An application was submitted by the owners of the property, has been reviewed by city staff, and has been determined to meet all of the criteria pursuant to the statute. The details of the designation have been outlined in a staff report that were included in the SIRE package to you for your review. At the conclusion of the second public hearing, which will be the next City Council meeting, the council will adopt a resolution designating that particular property as a brownfield. So this particular hearing would be for any public comment that is anyone here to make any such comment or any questions that I could answer.
Anyone for discussion?
If I may.
Ms. Zittrell, you recognize.
Ms. McLean, thank you very much. This is just for the just to let the record show, this is just for designation of brownfield. It has nothing else to do with the property at all.
Correct, it's just the designation of the brownfield.
I would like to make that perfectly clear, not only for ourselves, but for the public. Thank you very much, Madam. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I don't know if I see some speakers ready to speak.
No one is registered to speak outside of the applicants.
All right. Ms. McLean, you done?
That's all the action that is required of council today, and so that the next public hearing, there would be an additional opportunity for the public to speak or any questions or answers to be had, and that at that point in time, the City Council would adopt the resolution designated the property as a brownfield.
Mr. Shelby, you recognized.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Just to confirm whether that there is no one on the second floor in person who is here to speak. I don't know whether
I know we
that
have
was put on the
we
record.
have three registered speakers from what the list I have. Is that correct, Celine?
Yes, they're the applicants.
Applicants?
Yes.
And then we have anybody on the second floor on this item? Anybody on the second floor? All right, guess somebody's coming up. Want to go and hear from the applicants?
The applicants are here only to ask any questions, but as Mr. Citro had asked me, this is only for the designation of the brownfield, so we wouldn't want to get out of the context of that.
All right. Motion number 48?
Okay. There's no motion, there's no action needed today. That was just the public hearing, sir.
Okay.
A motion to close then, please.
Motion to close.
Second, so moved.
Mr. Maniscalco, move to close. Get a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Dingfelder. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We move it.
In the second public hearing, June 24th, 2021, 6 p.m. for anybody who's listening.
All right, item number 49.
Good morning, Council. This is Dennis Rogero, Chief Financial Officer. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to present on the next 5-year component of the community investment tax. Ma'am, if I could ask you to share my screen, please. Are you seeing it adequately?
Yes, sir.
Outstanding, outstanding. Thank you. Council, as you know, this will be the 6th and final 5-year segment of the 30-year community investment tax, or as we affectionately call it, the CIT. We'll be talking about that 5-year plan and discussing how we plan for its expiration. Of course, as we've discussed, the possibility exists that another CIT will follow this one. I believe you heard Councilman Miranda speak to that possibility last week, but it's only sensible from our perspective at this time to plan for not having that funding in fiscal year 2026. First, a quick refresh on the governing documents and how we got here. As you'll remember, it's a county-wide half-cent sales tax via ordinance in the summer of 1996 that includes the county, the cities, and the school board. It successfully went to referendum in the fall of 1996. Pardon me. And ends 30 years later, just on the other side of fiscal year 2026. I'll highlight some authorized uses you see here. Generally, capital improvements, facilities, infrastructure, public safety vehicles, and debt associated with projects. As of September 2020, we spent nearly $500 million So it's obviously been and continues to be an important revenue source for us. Here is our collection history. You see it started out rather modest, about $5 million, and overall has continued to increase. Of course, the Great Recession interrupted what was quite a run, as did the pandemic. You can see we were on track for quite a nice increase there. We'll see if we get back to it. But it has come from $5 million annually to over $20 million annually. So we'd like to talk about transitioning from this revenue source. During the last 5-year component, the overwhelming majority of funding that isn't obligated to pay for debt service has been used to pay for what you see here: public safety vehicles, nearly $30 million, and parks and recreation projects, repairs, and renovations, nearly $9 million. Looking into the future, it's prudent to start thinking how we're going to deal with the loss of this revenue when we still have these needs, and the needs are only increasing. So to that end, our next slides detail our recommended plan. First up, our vehicles. You see here, and as I've shared with you, we recently went out to an external third-party professional, and they've recommended that we invest $11 million annually for general fund vehicle replacement. And when I say general fund vehicle replacement, I don't necessarily mean solely from the general fund. It's those vehicles that cannot be funded, for instance, by your utilities, by solid waste, by water, wastewater, etc. And $11 million is quite a sum, but let me be clear. Over the years, we've appropriated a great deal of funding to vehicles. But we have and have had a great deal of vehicle needs across the city. So we've fallen behind. Quite simply, we need to catch up with replacing vehicles across the city and plan for the new ones going forward. Our aging fleet continues to have an adverse impact on our maintenance costs and workload. So the mayor's and city council's continuing emphasis on public safety and our need for public safety vehicles, you see here we've crafted a plan to maintain the recent CIT funding of about $6 or $7 million a year and begin to ramp up the general fund spending. Two, when we get to the point we run out of that community investment tax revenue. At the same time, this plan will allow us to catch up on those vehicle backlogs. Next up, our parks and recreation system. As you know, council, we have an extensive system managing over 3,500 acres, nearly 200 parks, around 1,600 programs. The list just goes on. And by the way, it's been nominated nationally for a gold medal 3 years in a row. We'll know this year by the end of this calendar year. We love our parks, and rightly so. So again, given the mayor's and your continuing emphasis and priority on parks and recreation, going forward, we think it's prudent to continue the past parks and recreation CIT funding levels of about $8 million over the 5-year period. And similar to what you saw with the vehicles, start ramping up the general fund commitment for that time when we don't have the community investment tax funding any longer. Now on to the total 5-year plan. If you put it all together, here's what the plan looks like. A lot of information, so I'd like to start with the main items. You see, of course, the estimated revenues. A little over $20 million a year. If we get back on track, we anticipate that'll keep going up, which is good news. But you heard me mention debt service and bond payments earlier, and you see here in yellow About half of the funding that comes in every year is already obligated to debt service, leaving us about $10 million or so annually. And here you see the public safety vehicle component we talked about. And line number 3, the capital projects, I'd like to enter into with, in more detail. That's primarily parks, as we discussed. Line 8, line 9, repair and renovation, and of course, the master plan coming up. We want to make sure we've got a plan to fund what we anticipate will be millions of dollars in needs from that master plan. You will recall, council, that we received the build grant this year. That's $25 million for completion of the Riverwalk on the west side of the river and improvements along Rome Avenue. Again, $25 million, that's great news, but it does require a $5 million match. Some of you may recall its former name of Tiger, and it significantly funded the development of the Riverwalk on the east side. This is a continuation of that, only on the other side. In summary, this is Exhibit A in your package. Nearly $109 million over 5 years in funding that concentrates our priorities, again, on public safety vehicles and parks and recreation, but is framed to give us flexibility as our needs, our priorities, your priorities may change over the next 5 years. And finally, of course, this is the public hearing. We have to have a completed resolution to Hillsborough County by the end of this month. Thank you again for the time this morning and the time in our briefings, and I can answer any questions you may have.
Mr. Dingfield, I saw your hand first. You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Dennis, for your presentation.
Yes,
on a lighter note, I'm glad that you were able to use that green pen instead of a red pen, so that's a positive thing.
Yeah. A little more optimistic.
You know, I received an email that in regard to this item, and the young lady sort of accused the city and accused council of not being able to live within our means, which I thought was a little harsh, because the community 25 years ago, and we all remember it, Mr. Miranda remembers it very well, passed this half-cent sales tax. We imposed it on ourselves as a community because as a community, we felt that it was important to be able to fund these projects. And over the last 25 years, going on 30 years, I think the city's used the money fairly wisely for Parks and Rec, for buying police cars, for buying fire engines, et cetera, to the tune. And then I can't remember exactly what we've done for these bond issues, but probably related to, you know, some building improvements and that sort of thing. So, you know, we've kept our millage pretty much static for as long as I can remember, except for I think 1 year when it was bumped up slightly, I think perhaps in response to the recession. But other than that, the millage rate has stayed the same. And when you do, when you do run into shortfalls, it's wonderful the community imposed this half-cent sales tax on itself to help with these important issues. So my only question, and you and I discussed this briefly the other day, Dennis, when we've already got a beautiful river walk on one side of the river, and now we're going to have a nice river walk on the other side. And have you heard any talk with Ms. Duncan or any of the other folks in construction about a possible bridge to connect the two? And is it possible that we could do that with any of this Tiger/build money?
I have heard, of course, various times over the years, especially upon receipt of the Tiger grant and the blossoming, if you will, of the Riverwalk along the east side, I've heard of a potential bridge connecting the two sides. I've seen nothing. I would defer to Ms. Duncan. Of course, we can report back to council. I've seen nothing concrete about that eventuality. Of course, we've talked from a logistical perspective of how nice it would be, especially if that side of the river gets as activated as the current east side of the river. Nothing concrete as far as I'm aware of, though. And of course, specific to the build grant, we can look and see what sort of restrictions may or may not be in place regarding it.
Okay. Well, Mr. Rivera, I think I can speak on behalf of council. We appreciate all your hard work and keeping us in the green instead of the red. Thank you.
We'll go to Mr. Miranda, then we'll go to Mr. Vieira, Mr. Maniscalco, Citro, and Carlson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I really appreciate the opportunity. Along with the same lines Mr. Dingfelder was speaking on, see that vote, there was 2 votes taken on the CIT tax. One was taken in February of that same year, the latter in September of that same year. There was a vote taken by the general public in February of that year. What happened is this: it failed. It didn't fail because of the components. It failed because there was little backing from those that were going to benefit from the one that was coming back later. You see, in February, no one spent any large amount of money or any at all to pass that, so that it would be for the schools, the county, and the cities for the project that they listed. However, never caught fire because there was little debate, and there was not advertising on TV, on radio, and on newspapers of back your city or back your county or back your school system. So it failed. However, those that wanted it passed, who didn't participate in the first one, and that September vote of '96, passed it on a 51-49 vote after spending about $464,000 on one side, on the public side, minimal to nothing. Not a penny, maybe. So it passed 51-49. And the lion's share was taken away in some instance. Not only was it taken away, there was events put in the contract that if something happened within the boundaries of that entity, I'm trying to make it as vague as possible so we understand where we're at, that the first $2 million of any event on that land went to the owner of that team. That's really, really nice. And the second monies after that, the first $2 million, would be split. Wonderful idea. What did they do for the $2 million? And what did they do for the split? I'll tell you what they did. Nothing. They collected the money. The sports authority is the one that's on the hook to putting on these events at that certain name stadium. They kept the first $2 million of those monies, and the sports authority, the one was in the hook to make the money. So I'm not against, I'm not here to ask anyone to leave, I'm not here to ask anyone to stay. But they're running out of cities. In fact, they're going now international. Both. Most sports now are just not played in America because they've saturated the American public so much that in order to get more revenue in, they got to go to Mexico or Spain or Italy or Britain or England, somewhere, to get the funds to raise their revenues coming in. So I think this case is going to be different. I think the public has had an awareness, and I think whether I'm here or not, I really don't know. I don't know if the rest of us will be here or not. But we have to get prepared because this is just around the corner. And 5 years may seem a long way out, but it's really a short period of time when you look at history, what happens in the next 5 years. And if this city, and this county, and this school system want anything to go right, they better start getting together, start making a plan. And I won't make a recommendation today, but I will in the next few months, that those 3 entities, the school board, the county, and the city, start looking at what's going to happen to this area when this tax ends and how we're going to supplement it. Because if it ends the way it is, where's the school system going to get the money? Where's the county going to get the money? And where's the city going to get the money to do what they've been doing now for 30 years with that money? And it's gone the right way. So I'm not here to tax the people, that's up to them. But sooner or later, there'll be another vote taken on how we want to fund this area. And I've heard rumors, and rumors you can't rely on. But I've heard one rumor that one entity wants something to cover something that they now lease for almost nothing for the next 30 years without no increase in rate. Just think of 30 years. I'm going to go back and do a little study on my own. What gasoline cost 30 years ago, what a loaf of bread cost 30 years ago, and where's it at today? What an apartment rented for 30 years ago, and what it rents for today. What an automobile cost 30 years ago, what it costs today. What was a ticket to ride an airplane and go from point A to point B? What was your insurance in the car 30 years ago? What is the insurance cost today? And just think, when you start looking at that, you're going to realize that we gave it away. And that's got to stop. Not only in this city, and the whole country's got to stop. We talk about affordable housing, we talk about other things that we have to do, and yet we can't do it really the way we want to do it because we don't have the money, la moneda, the cash, the dollars to do it with. So I'm going to stop there. I'm not going to give a sermon, although I've started to give one, but I'm going to stop myself. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Vieira, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I wanted to single out Councilman Miranda, that you always bring this issue up, sir, and it seems every couple of meetings, and I thank you for your leadership in that regard, Councilman Miranda. Yeah, this is such an important issue. You know, there are wants and then there are needs. A lot of the items that this tax pays for are somewhere between wants and needs. But I want to focus on the needs, you know, in our community when it comes to public safety. There's so many ways in which you can support public safety as a community. And I always tell people that it doesn't end with putting a lapel, something on your lapel, or putting a nice sticker on your car. A lot of times you got to dig into your pocketbook, because first responders rely on public budgets. Public budgets are funded through something that is a four-letter word in politics: taxes, which I guess a five-letter word. Tax, five-letter word in politics. You know, when this comes up for renewal, whatever term you want to be, some sort of replacement revenue type of mechanism, I hope that we have the leadership to lead whenever it comes to this issue, especially for public safety. You know, I've talked about for almost a year and a half now having a public safety master plan here for the city of Tampa, making sure that we know where all of our deficits are at, and making sure that we have a financial bridge to addressing those deficits. I've always been very, very passionate about it. It's one of the reasons I ran for public office about 5 years ago, was because of my passion for our first responders. We've got to address that core critical issue in this revenue formula, because our first responders are watching, our communities are watching, but the community, that word's used a lot, the community has to know. And I mean, when I say the community, I mean all the community has to know that when we say we support our police officers and the work that they do, our firefighters and the work that they do, our emergency personnel and the work that they do, that is backed up by tax money. That is backed up by tax dollars. 2/3 of the city of Tampa budget goes to public safety. There is a real relatedness or there's a connectivity there that we have to know. So this issue is a public safety first responder issue. And if we as a community let this go without appropriate funds, I mean, because we're already, take a look at the numbers that we've seen, we're already running backwards. Take a look at Tampa Fire. You know, these aren't wants, these aren't somewhere between wants and needs. This is a core critical need. Take a look at something that I always talk about, Fire Station 13, one of the 50 busiest fire stations in the city of Tampa, in the United States of America, the busiest fire station in the city of Tampa. By far and away, the number of calls between Station 13 and Station 11 leave a 25% difference. It's by far and away the busiest fire station in the city of Tampa, one of the 50 or so busiest within the United States. Our friends at Channelside badly need a fire station. 4 out of the 6 stations with the longest response times are in a growing area of the city, New Tampa. And West Tampa, we continue to talk about workforce housing, affordable housing. We're expanding things in West Tampa. Well, where are the accompanying fire stations for those issues? When you look at that public safety master plan vision, we're running behind. We're running behind with what we got. You fast forward 4 or 5 years later to the issue that Councilman Miranda has talked about so much. We're not running behind. We're going to be drowning. And it's up to us to let the public know that if you support first responders, then you're going to support money to support those first responders. And this provides such a key critical issue for public safety whenever it comes to our vehicles. So just wanted to highlight that issue. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Maniscalco, you recognized.
Thank you very much. And Mr. O'Hara, I appreciate your presentation. You know, as the CIT comes to an end, we don't know what will replace that, if anything. And looking at all for transportation and how that's turning out, we don't know even if something gets on the ballot, if it'll survive on the ballot, and we'll have that funding moving forward. Councilman Miranda, Councilman Vieira, they've said a lot, and they've touched on a lot of key points. My thing is, and beyond the importance of funding public safety, beyond the importance of all the new people that are moving here, all the new construction, and the how behind we are in those fire stations, in those services that are there for the community. I mean, this is a public safety, public health crisis. You know, we're not keeping up. We're falling more and more behind. One of the biggest complaints I get are the quality of our roads. I know this is not strictly a CIT issue, but our roads are disgusting. I drive through the city, and I know there's some county roads within the city, and there's confusion of who funds what, but our roads are in terrible, terrible shape. I know we approved the pipes program, and many of our roads will be torn up for, you know, the new infrastructure that's going to be laid down and repaved, but our roads are a mess. Our sidewalks are incomplete, lacking, inefficient. I thought that all for transportation moving forward and surviving would give us that financing and those funds in place to remedy those. And that's not the case. Unfortunately, we don't know what's going to happen with that money, but we're falling farther and farther behind. The cost of living is going up. We're not keeping up. I mean, just things are getting more and more expensive, and that funding isn't there. Looking at the communications tax and the loss of revenue over the last 10, 20 years because of cell phones and replacing landlines, and what the city has lost. I mean, it's millions and millions of dollars. So when I hear comments or read comments that say Tampa doesn't know how to live within its means, I mean, it's a general ignorant statement. Look at the situations that we're faced in. Oh, well, you know, they built a stadium in the 90s. Okay, that's one thing, but look at everything else that impacts our budgets and why we have to make the tough decisions in moving forward. We have needs. Councilman Vieira said it all. I mean, we have critical needs that cannot be ignored, but we have to look at how do we fund those things moving forward. And if the CIT, well, when the CIT ends in the next few years, what's going to replace that? That's going to be another hit to our budget moving into the latter part of this decade and going forward. Thank you very much. I'll stop there.
Mr. Central, you recognize.
Mr. Chair, thank you very much. I won't pontificate too much, just get to a few points. As Mr. Councilman Miranda, who's been the leader in the CIT tax and hoping to get a new tax, as he stated, there was 2 different votes. The first vote was for fire and police and funding them. The second vote came with another input, another part of that, and I know for a fact that's how the Man in Black got started. On the campaign trail, we all heard the things that the citizens wanted, requested from us. The basic necessities: fresh, clean drinking water, take away my waste, both solid and liquid, good roads, but more especially, they said, keep me safe. Give me the police and fire that we need. This tax, I hope that our friends, our colleagues over in the county are listening, and that we may be able to come up with another form of tax that will help both the county with schools and the city of Tampa with our fire and police. As I made a statement last week, we need new brick and mortar and fire stations, without a doubt. And Mr. O'Hara, you heard that from me earlier this week on my wish list.
Yes, sir.
Mr. O'Hara, the presentation that you have given us is great planning, and I appreciate what you have done. And as I said to you earlier this week, we need to plan for the worst and hope for the best. Planning for the worst is this tax goes away. Hoping for the best is, again, our colleagues over in the county, city council and mayor come up with another form of, and I hate to use the word, it is a terrible, horrible word, taxation, to fund us, to keep us safe. That will benefit our fire and police. But again, thank you very much, Mr. O'Hara, for this plan. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You know, gentlemen, we've all had some great points.
You don't need to go first, right?
Mr. Carlson, you're right. You're recognized, sir. I'm sorry, sir.
I know you're supposed to go last.
I'm sorry, sir.
I just want to echo some of the things my colleagues have said about the need for investing in basic infrastructure. Chair Goods has often said that his district is hungry, and we've tried to address issues in East Tampa and the rest of his district. My district, which is South Tampa, I would characterize as being angry. We get sometimes 100 or more emails a day from people who are very, very upset. They're upset that they pay a lot of taxes, and over the last few years, they've seen their tax money go to frivolous projects like a $12 million boathouse on the river, instead of being spent on basic infrastructure. They're mad because they pay the taxes and they don't see the immediate benefit of it. If you pay a lot of taxes and your road is torn up because of potholes and there's no city money to replace it, then of course you're going to get angry. Or if the city doesn't have enough money to put a stop sign in or a red light in to protect people, then you're going to get angry. But also as people have gone outside more during COVID, they realize that their parks are falling apart. And it's not just parks falling apart in East Tampa, it's parks falling apart in South Tampa. We have benches that people call and say their kids got splinters in them because the benches are falling apart. In some places there aren't benches and there's not enough maintenance. And people are very upset about that. They want the city and county to cover the basic services instead of just spending on frivolous projects. You all talked about public safety. The folks in South Tampa in particular, I think, don't complain about public safety because I think the perception, the reality is that the police and the fire department do a great job. They keep folks safe and they save lives every day, and people aren't seeing the potential problems that we're having in the future. But we've got to find a way to fund all the future needs in public safety, or we're going to have problems in the next few years. So anyway, bottom line is I thank Mr. O'Hara for focusing on the basic necessities. You're not including, I think, roads in this yet, but the roads and fixing potholes is a very important part. But fixing parks throughout the city is very, very important, and also continuing to invest in public safety to make to make sure the public's protected. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carlson. I have a little different viewpoint, and I'll tell you why. My brother gave me a call yesterday morning around about 8 o'clock. There was a young lady and probably her 7th or 8-month-old baby and a 6-year-old. They were sleeping on the ground in between our lot by our funeral hearse and one of our limos. Hungry. No blanket, no nothing. They had been removed from the local hotel. Basically, the mother had no place to go from the story my brother told me. And I got 3 calls on that because some of the other businesses along that called me about it. What disturbed me was one of the hotels, when all of the folks saw what was happening to that young mother and those 2 children, they tried to get her a place to stay at one of the local motels. She was refused. Refused because the owner said the kids might mess up the sheets of the room. And I look at the little hotel, I'm like, well, this is not the Taj Mahal here. Get a call around 5 o'clock. Mother still hadn't found a place yet. And everyone gave her maybe 60, 70 bucks. From the story I'm told from my good friend Mr. Weber next door at the wheelchair shop and some of the other folks. So when we talk about CIT funding these other frivolous projects, I look at housing, infrastructure. Mr. Vera, you talked about the wants and the needs. Yeah, we need fire stations and we need police. But we need infrastructure for housing, gentlemen. I don't care how you look at it. If you got no place to stay, you got no hope, you have nothing. You can't lay your head. We can't control some of the housing markets, but if we had dollars in our own non-subsidized area, we could be able to help a lot of people. Not be able to have a lot of luxury homes that are going into marginalized communities and people can't afford to live there. They're forced out different places. So for me, when you talk about taxes and tax dollars, more people will be acceptable if they know exactly that that tax dollar is being utilized in a humanitarian way to help those who really need it. When you talk about building infrastructure and building buildings that you can put people in, that I just had this conversation with housing, everyone knows that our housing department, they have a lot of critical issues there. They don't have enough people to get the work out, get the money out. And some of those programs, they can't get them out. They're not working for a lot of different people. That's why I'd asked, the housing department, and now after this meeting I had with them yesterday, Mr. Shelby and a few others, construction service, land use, it's a bigger picture to identify housing, affordable housing. When you look at this word workforce worker, which really bothers me when I look at the category that they're putting people in. And nothing against developers, you go with the tide says, how it sails. But you can't bring to me 300 units and say, oh, we got 20 affordable here. That doesn't work for people. So to me, if you're talking about looking for another tax, another way, that has to be included in the project. That has to be the first component of the project. Because you can sell that because people understand people are in need. The hunger Mr. Carlson talks about. People are hungry for shelter. If I got a place to stay, I can at least, what I can say is minimal what I'm making if I'm working at McDonald's, Burger King, or Walmart. If I got shelter, I got hope. But if I'm on the street, I'm living pillow to post, and I'm saying to Miss Mary's house, Miss Mary said, well, baby, you got to find a place to go. My light bill going up, but you got to, Look at the reality of what we have to do. People talk about government. People talk about what we don't do. I can tell you this council has been fighting for these type of issues. It takes more of us to make sure we get on board to understand the issues. That's why I'm glad some of you do get out and go to these communities to understand what people are really living through and understand the factual basis of it. See, if you don't visualize what people are saying, you don't believe in it. But once you get out, like Mr. Thinkful, you saw, you had ideas that could help communities. Mr. Carlson, same thing. And I think this council has been doing it, getting out to see what the real nuts and crannies, what the people are saying. But I just want to say that we have to be looking at the bigger picture of everything to be able to make things grow. With that being said, if anybody doesn't have anything else, Mr. Dingfelder will go, Maniscalco will go here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Now you bring up some good points. I don't know, and perhaps legal can help us out, or Dennis, if CIT money even can, at this time, based upon the original referendum, if CIT money could be used for housing, if it could, it'd be nice to see a few million go in that direction, because we know that the city has a lot of opportunity to spend that money. So that's question number one, and I see Kate popping up. Maybe she's got the answer to that. Perhaps futuristically, and I don't know, have we as a body sent a letter over to the county commission in regard to re-upping the next CIT again? Have we done that yet? Okay, so maybe we'll talk about that at new business. And then secondly, if we do discuss that and decide to do that, maybe the next CIT program, if there is one, would include an opportunity for affordable housing, because I think everybody in this community knows that affordable housing is a very real need, as real as public safety and all the other. It actually is a public safety issue. It's a public safety issue down to that individual lady who was sleeping on the ground. So Anyway, so those are just some thoughts. Kate, did you want to give me any guidance in regard to the current program?
Good morning, Councilman. Assistant City Attorney Brian Morrison. The proceeds of this surtax have to be spent in very specific areas. Here it is for acquiring infrastructure for general government purposes, public education, and public safety. And the definition of infrastructure comes from the original language that was on the ballot when this was passed. Here it'll mean fixed capital expenditures, fixed capital outlay associated with construction, reconstruction, or improvement of public facilities which have a life expectancy of 5 or more years, and any land acquisition, land improvement, design, and engineering costs that are related to that.
So how does that translate to the possibility of infrastructure associated with affordable housing?
Sir, for a particular program like that, this would have to be included. I know we've talked some today about what we're going to do as this particular CIT surtax expires. As we look towards the next one, that would be something that we would want to bring up to have included in that if those are the projects that we want to focus on.
Okay, I hear you futuristically, but I mean in terms of we have a list in front of us today that doesn't include affordable housing. But my question is, could it include affordable housing if the city and administration and this council desired, based upon your reading of the existing ordinance and referendum?
Based upon my reading, that would be quite a stretch. We do have other revenue sources, of course, that can be used for public housing. And as we prioritize those, I think it would be best to look to those other revenue streams to focus in that direction. We would be really stretching the boundaries of what we're allowed to do with this tax if spent in that area.
Okay, thank you for that.
I think Pinellas did it when they redid their CIT. Pinellas did it and it included housing. So if this body chooses to send a letter to the county, I think that needs to be included if we want to re-up, because I believe Pinellas did it. Mr. Vieira, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Now, I just wanted to cite, because my name was mentioned, when I talk about the programs under the CIT, I'm talking about the programs under the CIT. It's always been my understanding that things like affordable housing are not eligible from the CIT. When I think of the CIT, I think of the two big ticket items, which are parks and recreation and public safety. And parks and recreation, obviously very important, but if you take those two issues, parks and recreation versus public safety, one is, like I said, somewhere between a want and a need. The other one is a need. A couple years ago, I mean, this council, or the prior council, addressed, I think, a good balance on those with the fiscal year 2018 budget with the millage rate. Councilman Dingfelder had brought up the issue of the history of the millage rate. Through that budget, we were able to fund a good number of parks as well as Fire Station 23 and some other issues. But the CIT tax, as I understand it, which is why I talked about parks and public safety issues with police and fire, can't go to that. Now, whether we can have a discussion to expand it, that would be great. But within the universe that we live right now, just not an option.
You recognize Mr. Maniscalco.
Thank you very much. And to piggyback on some of your comments, and this is not really a CIT topic, but you had talked about affordable housing. And just my thoughts this morning when I was having coffee, we read daily, property sold, apartments coming, property sold, apartments coming, in that part of the city, or a certain part of the city, in the Southern Peninsula, wherever it's happening. Why don't they focus, these developers, on other parts of the city that have these needs? Like you're saying, you have a mother and her children in a certain part of town, let's say East Tampa, east of the interstate, District 5. Why are the developers not focusing on this part of the city? I had a conversation the other day and they said, what is the focal point of East Tampa? And I said, why not make Hillsborough Avenue like a Dale Mabry? Meaning the investment in Dale Mabry that was nothing 60 years ago, 50 years ago, or not like it is today, whereas Hillsborough was a busier commercial hub with residential all around it. If the real estate market and the developers are so hot, making so much money, why not take their focus away from that Gandy area, these areas that flood, these areas that are zone 1 evacuation areas when hurricanes come in and people got to get out and there's narrow roads? Why don't they focus their investments on parts of the city that, again, this is not a CIT discussion, on parts of the city that need the affordable housing, where people that don't have a car can live somewhere and walk to work. And when you spur that kind of development, you spur a middle class, a stronger middle class, an investment in that community that is lacking in parts of the city that are needed. The desire is there, the demand is there, yet they're building more and more apartments that are unaffordable. You look at the rates in nice parts of the city, nicer, quote, nicer parts of the city, $1,800 a month, $2,000 a month, $2,400 a month for a single bedroom. You go to a 3-bedroom, $4,000. How is that affordable? How is that? I mean, what are these people doing for a living that they're able to afford these rents? It's not home ownership. This is not the American dream. They're paying the landlord. They're paying the developer for their profits. Why can't these developers focus their attention on other parts of the city? We need it. I mean, the community demands it. The demand is there. I just don't understand it. So I know the affordable housing discussion is not part of the CIT. The CIT is public safety and parks and whatnot, but just to get that discussion going, I don't get it. It's just like more apartments being built. Is that all we're good for in the city of Tampa? At least do it right. You know, not only South Tampa, only this, only that. Anyways, I'm going on 10 tangents here, but I just want to express my frustration because we get emails and calls daily. Councilman Carlson must be flooded because of his district, but you know, we got to be better than just apartments.
I'll let Mr. Carlson go next, and then I'll address some of those concerns that I had a meeting about, those same concerns. Mr. Carlson, you recognize.
Yeah, thank you for bringing this this important issue up. You know that I'm in favor of trying to find solutions for this too. We, with our CRA hats on a year or so ago, voted to try to spend 30% or more of the CRA money across the 8 districts on affordable housing. I met with the consultant who's doing the strategic action plan for East Tampa, and I've also met with another one. My number one feedback to them was, why do we keep rolling money over year to year? We should be spending it. Why? There's need right now, and there's money sitting in accounts. There's millions of dollars sitting in accounts. Why aren't we moving forward on projects? And part of it is that there's bureaucracy in some of the structures in the community. And on affordable housing, I think we need to do, like, as part of the American process, we need to distribute it. There are lots of nonprofits and even for-profits that build affordable housing, and we need to have lots of partners to build housing faster. We need to open it up and provide a more equitable process for bringing in partners on these projects. And we know from studying poverty that it's also not a good idea to create concentrated areas of poverty either. We need it to be distributed throughout the community. And so I think by working with social and other entrepreneurs, we can help make that happen. Last thing real fast is that a friend of mine, similar story you have, a friend of mine who's a beloved, I won't say his name, but a beloved service worker in South Tampa, I just I just found out was working week to week, and he had to have a hip replacement, and because of that, he couldn't work anymore. Because he was working week to week, he couldn't afford to pay rent anymore, and now he's staying in a $65 a night motel. And what is that, $2,000 a month, which is a ridiculous amount of month. Thank God there's a nonprofit that's helping him, and I've had 2 phone calls with him already trying to figure out how we can bring some volunteers and community resources, because he has so many friends to help him. But that's just one person of the, what did they tell us a year ago? 50,000 people are in our city. 50,000 people in our city don't have homes. Thank you.
Well, all the comments are taken very sincere. I know for a fact there's a crisis. I know the CIT money is built for public safety and so on and so on. But I do know if this is re-up, we've got to include some things, and I think the voters will go for that because there's a need for that, number one. Number two, Mr. Carlson, I know you're not a big fan of the ECD, but I had a tour, gave them a tour of the east side of town, because I need them to go in there to look at some of those industrial areas back there that properties are just sitting and try to bring some jobs or bring some companies here to get the economy moving so people can have a place to walk and work over there. As it relates to the housing crisis and the unaffordability, Mr. Maniscalco, I did have a meeting with housing, Mr. Bryan, who's the attorney who's on there, about making sure that we don't have these luxury prices or how we can come up or craft something so these big time apartments don't just come in there charging these people and they're forced out. So they're looking at how that could work, but they've got to deal with some zoning, contractual services. I asked them also to come back, about tell me what essential worker is, what workforce worker is, essential housing, workforce housing. The city needs to have a policy. We have to design something so that when developers come, they don't come like they come meet with us and tell, hey, Councilman, we've got workforce housing, affordable housing. You're like, well, what is that? And they tell you this number of how many they're going to give you and what those dollars are. So I think if we're going to give incentives to do things, we have to make sure we have our policies here versus what the federal government has, but have some other policies as it relates to some dollars that we want to give. I also talked them to the chief of staff and then in reference to have a non-subsidized fund that the general fund may need to start putting in a separate fund for housing, because a lot of programs are government related, state related, and people cannot get in those programs for whatever reason. They're too difficult. So those are the things that I know staff is listening, watching, that we have to be able to start doing and working on. Also, Mr. Hill, why I have you on the line, I'm going to talk to Ms. Van Loan to get with you, sir, because we have to see how we can leverage the CRA dollars we have now, as far as bonds, as far as money with the banks. I talked to one of the guys who's with the EDC, Tony, the new guy over there, who ran several CRAs, Madeira Beach, other places, and he was able to leverage those CRA dollars and have more capital to start doing more work rapidly to have those funds going. So that may be a conversation. I'd like you to get Ms. Van Loan to see how possibly we can start leveraging those dollars to add on to those dollars to get more things going, to have more money and more bang for our buck with the dollars we have. We're going to bring it in for, Ms. Scout, you recognize that we're going to bring it in for a landing.
Just one final statement. There's no reason and no excuse why homelessness should exist in 2021, especially in this country. So whatever we can do as a government, as a government entity, we have to take those steps. You want a motion to close the public?
Yeah.
Hearing? Move to close?
Ms. Scout has moved. Mr. Miranda has seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'll move the resolution.
Thank you, sir.
Second,
Oh.
hold on.
Yeah.
Okay, I see Brian and Kate.
Yeah. Yes, Mr. Chair, if we could check for public comment, please, before passing that resolution.
Move to reopen the public hearing.
So moved. Mr.
Second.
Miranda, all in favor? Any opposed? Reopen. Anybody for public comment?
No one registered for this item.
Is there anyone on the second floor, Mr.? Thank
Right
you.
on second floor. Move to close?
So moved.
Mr. Sacco, second by Mr. Miranda. All in favor? Any opposed? Mr. Maniscalco, you moved the resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Maniscalco has moved it. Mr. Dingfelder has seconded it. We need a roll call. Mr. Shelby on this one here?
Yes, sir. Please.
Roll call, please.
Carlson,
Yes.
Citro,
Yes.
Miranda,
Yes.
Vieira,
Yes.
Dingfelder,
Yes.
Maniscalco, and Goods.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
Folks, I knew we took up a lot of time on 49, but you can see the passion in everyone here in understanding what has to be done. We just got to get there and get a plan to get it done. So we apologize for being long-winded, but everyone's passionate about this issue. Item number 50.
Thank you, Council.
Good morning, Council. Abby Feely, Director of Development and Growth Management. I believe that Brian Morrison wanted to lead off on item 50 this morning.
Yes, thank you, Abby. Brian Morrison, Assistant City Attorney. This is the first of two required public hearings to be held by Tampa City Council on the city's fiscal year 2022 annual action plan addressing federal CDBG, ESG, home, and HAQA programs. Both U.S. Housing and Urban Development regulations and the City of Tampa Citizen Participation Plan dictate that this first public hearing must be held before the annual action plan is published for comment. On July 29, 2021, a second public hearing will be held by Tampa City Council for the purpose of adopting the fiscal year 2022 annual action plan. Ms. Feely will now provide Tampa City Council and the public with more detail regarding the fiscal year 2022 annual action plan and ways for the public to comment on the plan. Public comment is encouraged now and throughout the entire annual action plan updating and adoption process. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. If I can go ahead and share my screen, please. Are you able to see my presentation?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Council, Chairman Goods, and honorable members of City Council. We're excited to be here this morning. I think the discussion that Council just had is a really great segue into part of the discussion we're going to have with you this morning about our HUD funding that comes in and the annual action plan, which really identifies the activities for the coming year that those funds would go out to agencies for. And this is over the past year, Housing and Community Development has been working with our community partners to deliver services to our customers, our community. These range from rehabilitation of existing homes to creation of new affordable housing units, as well as home ownership support, rental assistance, and homeless services. I have a brief presentation for you this morning, and it has been prepared by Kayon Henderson, who is our acting manager, and myself. And Kayon is a bit under the weather this morning. She is on for support and to answer any questions I may not be able to assist with this morning, but I'm going to go ahead and give it my best shot. And what we're really discussing with you this morning is our federal funds, the HUD funds that come in. And many of these do have quite lengthy regulations as to how we can spend those monies. On average, we get about $9 to $10 million a year, and some of those funds go on 3-year contracts and some of them go on annual contracts. So quickly, we are going to go over the purpose of our action plan, our proposed funding that would be coming in for fiscal year 22, our priorities, and then public input. And I just briefly went over, so we actually have a consolidated action plan, which is a 5-year plan. And each year we prepare the annual action plan. And the activities identified in the action plan are supported by 4 funding sources. And these are all federal sources, the CDBG funds, the ESG funds, which are Emergency Solutions Grant, housing opportunities for people with AIDS. And I know when we presented to you in October on our annual action plan, that was a little late adoption this year, that we expressed to you that we actually run the HOPWA program for 5 surrounding counties. And that is part of what you saw on your agenda this morning was monies associated with that as well. And then we have our home investment program. This is just a quick summary of each of those grant funds and how and on what they can be spent. And our ESG and our HOPWA are on a 3-year contract, and that actually came to you last year. So this year, we're really focusing on our CDBG and our home funds. HUD identifies a set of priority needs, and what I've done here is shown you those 6 categories of what HUD believes are priority needs. And then in the italics afterward are our current programs that align with those needs. We do have opportunities to create other programs or address other issues related specifically to these priority needs. And that's part of the feedback we're hoping to get from today, from you, and as well from our participating agencies and our customers, our clients that we're serving through these programs. Here is the estimated funding awards. As I mentioned to you, The HOPWA and the ESG funds have already are on 3-year contracts, and they've already been allocated. So that's the 4.3 million and the 274,000. The SHIP funds are state funds. Those are Florida funds that come from the state of Florida. So the two primary fund sources we're talking about and will be working for assignment through the action plan are the CDBG and the home funds. So based on the numbers we're anticipating for FY22, that should be about $5 million. You can see here total that there's about $15 million in grant funds coming from these 5 programs into housing and community development for programmatic expenses and the implementation of our programs for fiscal year 22. Today is the kickoff. These are many steps in the HUD process, and that's where we are this morning, is kicking off those steps so that we are checking all the boxes in order to fulfill our responsibilities to receive these funds from HUD. Today, June 3rd, we are launching with you in this first public hearing. Tomorrow, we will release the RFA on our website for the CDBG and home funds, and that will be a request for applicants for applications, and these are from typically our subrecipients that put in to be funded. And I know many of you are familiar with this over the years when these presentations would come back to you of different agencies requesting money for CDBG funds and how those were going to be allocated. And this tomorrow will be that kickoff. That gets posted on our website. It also is being posted in the Tampa Bay Times, La Gaceta, the Sentinel, as well as Demand Star, which is through our purchasing department, to notify all potential applicants that this process is opening. We will be conducting a technical assistance workshop on June 15th. And that is like any standard RFP, RFA that goes out. We hold the workshop. There's an opportunity for questions to come in from that. And then we provide responses to that. We have the RFA submission deadline coming on June 25th. And then the 30-day comment period begins on June 29th. This whole process will take place, and then we will come back before you with the final, the annual action plan with all of these inputs and all of these allocations for your consideration and adoption on July 29th. And then it goes to HUD for acceptance and final approval. And then we would begin with those funds coming on October 1. I briefly just wanted to show you kind of how it goes out on our webpage. The request, it will be posted there, and that will start tomorrow morning. We also do citizen participation. We have a survey instrument that will go out. I have that on the next slide. Through our agencies who are currently subrecipients, as well as many of our other partner agencies. This survey goes out to them and their clients, and then that information comes back to us, and it helps us to draft the services that we will be providing. This does go out both in Spanish and in English, and we collect those. Typically, this has been done through a series of public meetings. We would go out to libraries and in the community and hold different community meetings, but due to COVID, both last year and this year, that has been suspended. So we've been using other mechanisms to get that information out. This survey also publishes on our website. So part of us being here today is really also getting that word out to the public and to those that we can serve to get their feedback on those items of greatest need that these programs can start to focus on.
Abby,
Yes, sir.
that survey, you know,
That's
I know how surveys kind of work sometimes, and then you don't get all of them back. You don't get information, real good feedback. I'm hoping that the administration will look at maybe some PSAs on television, some of these radios, these TV stations, to actually see the housing department or the mayor get on and talk how crucial this survey really is to housing. People understand that, and when they see housing, their antennas kind of go up. So I'm hoping we do a more robust communications with this versus just putting something just out there. Some people don't get the paper. They don't read the paper. A lot of people don't. Neighborhood associations, they need to have them to be able to knock on doors to give to some of the residents in the area who they know they're having difficulties with rehab situations. A lot of different situations, and I think we got to, kick the football down the field a little bit further. So I'm hoping that we have a real robust communication, getting on TV, getting with some of the other television stations as a PSA, asking them to help us, knowing the housing crisis we have, to get the word out about this survey. This is going to be crucial. Thank you.
I will work with Kayon and the administration to see what else we can do to serve that need. I know many people are familiar with this and are waiting, through our typical, not typical rolling out, since it was different last year and for this year, but we'll definitely cast a wide net. So that being said, we're here this morning to also just ask, I heard definitely some of the infrastructure discussions that was just held. We do have lots within our own portfolio that do not have water and sewer connection right now, which are leaving them unbuildable. There is some potential through CDBG funding to look at potential infrastructure. There's not that much money to make those connections necessarily. We would have to look at what those costs would actually be, and then we would also have to look at having the city apply as an applicant to make those improvements through this program. But based on your conversation this morning, I did already reach out to Kayon and see if there's any way for us to potentially use some of the funding that we know we will have coming in to look at that and a potential to create some of those lots to be buildable if we could make those infrastructure connections. I think, we hear a lot during your weekly discussions on what the priorities are and how do we start to incentivize housing in other areas. We'd also like to know if there's any other priorities in relation to housing right now, just besides the pure increase in our inventory. And also, I know the owner-occupied rehabilitation program, and I just want you to know that as part of this year's budget, we did put in to get some general funds to support some of those programs. As many of you are aware, we do have a limitation based on the grant funding that comes in, that we can only go up to 80% of area median income, and that does limit the population that we can assist with these programs. So we did request general funds this year to start bridging the gap, what we call the missing middle, and being able to go up to help up to 140% of AMI. And in the industry discussions, this is really what many people refer to as workforce, is that 120 to 140 AMI, or that 100 to 140 AMI. So we are looking to expand those services. We are looking to expand those people that we can assist with many of the programs that we already have, but that were restricted due to our grant funding. So that being said, I'd like to open up to any questions, comments, input that you all have this morning. This was more really just to kick all this off, get us on our way, get the required HUD process underway, and we will be back before you on the 29th.
Anyone, any questions? Abby, I do. I received an email the other day, and it was very, I wouldn't say puzzling, but it made sense to me. You have people in these communities, some of these marginalized communities, that they die and we can't find anybody, and then the property goes into foreclosure, and then it gets, code starts to go write up violations on the property. Now we got these liens on the property. Still ain't found out who owns the property, but the bank has a lien, the bank is foreclosing. I don't, and the question was, well, if We know this is happening before it gets that far down the road. Why can't we look at having a program to where, even with the CRA or a partner, to where we just go and we buy that property and save that property before it needs all this extra repairs and work on it. And it made perfect sense to me. If Mr. John, bless his soul, died and he's got no family, and now we see how the property is starting to deteriorate, we do nothing. Now we get squatters, whatever, people on drugs and alcohol starts to tear the property up. Now coach there. I mean, we have to be proactive, not reactive. So we need to have a program in place as well to be able, again, I always talk about public safety. You have the police, fire, you got public works, you got actual city workers every day going into communities, solid waste guy, looking at houses and property. We should have a system in place to where we identify, I'm on such and such street, and we got 5 houses here, and we got some squatters here, we got problems, and then we run a search, see what's going on, and then that should be going to the CRA if it's in a marginalized area, or to the city to say, how do we buy that property? Let's just buy it outright. Now we save it, put it in our stock, rehab it, where it may not need that much money into that rehab. And we need to start pushing. I think it's what was it, 4OK23 program that deals with rehabbing those properties. I guess on the tip of my tongue. And we need to start encouraging those because everyone doesn't need a new home. We need to start encouraging that program as well, putting that out there. We do it all a home buyer, first time buyer, but people think, oh, that's a new construction home. Well, we can start rehabbing some of the existing properties and start using that program to get some people in that is affordable and get them in. We have to start thinking outside the box. We have to be proactive versus reactive and looking at those programs. And maybe some of these funds that you have that are government-rated funds can really help those people now. And again, start pushing, advocating, buying those properties early versus waiting till all these liens get on, which there are liens, and get that ball rolling. So I'm hoping that we can look at that. You get a general idea of that. No idea is a bad idea. I believe you just got to get the right concept to get the idea going. So that's my take on the housing market and the stock that we currently have. We don't have to go out and just start building new stuff. We got stuff that's already there. Let's catch it before it gets dilapidated, and then now we can't do anything with it, and now we have a lot there, and you're still trying to get all this information. Let's catch it beforehand if we can. I'm done. Anybody else? All right. You have anything else, Miss Feely?
That's it. I believe we were going to go ahead and go ahead,
Brian?
Brian. I think we were going to go ahead and ask.
I like Brian.
Go ahead.
I like Brian. He really trying to work some ideas out.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was just going to remind you to please check with the public and see if they have any input as it relates to especially the CDBG and the home program that we'll be opening up tomorrow.
We have anybody on the second floor or any registered applicants, Deputy Clerk?
No one registered for this item remotely.
All right, anybody on the second floor?
Second.
Ms. Maniscalco moved to close. Mr. Miranda seconded. Roll call vote. No roll call? Okay, all right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion moves unanimously. Thank you, Ms. Feely.
Can you go ahead? I'm sorry, Chairman Goods. Would you be able to set the public hearing for the July 29th date as we indicated for us to bring you back the action plan for consideration and adoption? Sorry, Brian. I thought you were going to cover that.
How are we looking on 29th?
Just set the public hearing.
Already
for July
scheduled? All right, it's already
29th.
scheduled.
What time?
That's all right.
Brian, go ahead.
Yes, sir. We have had a motion on this already. We'll be coming back to you with a resolution just to solidify it, and so it's out there for the public to see.
Is that for the 29th? All right.
Yes, it's going to be for the 29th, and that'll be at the next council session.
Ms. Pascal, you did move that, sir?
Yes, second.
It's going to be on, I believe it's going to be put through SIRE through the next agenda. Is that correct,
So we'll
Mr.
have to-
Morrison? I'm
Correct.
sorry.
A motion was made at the last
All right.
regular session.
I'll withdraw the motion.
Okay, so we're good. All right, thank you so much. We'll go on
Thank
that.
you very much, Council.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Feely. All right, we'll go to item 51.
Were they open?
They're already open, they've been open.
No. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Ryan Manassi, Development Coordination. I need to be sworn in with any of the agents or speakers.
All right, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Item number
One
51 is
moment,
filed
Mr.
under-
Manassi. IT, can you get the council's screens up on the desk, please? Thank you, sir. You may continue.
Thank you, Chair. Ryan Manassi, Development Coordination. Item number 51 is file number REZ 20-83. It's an ordinance being presented to you for second reading and adoption. This is for rezoning the property at 1909 West Erna Drive. The request was from RS60 Residential Single Family to PD Plan Development for Residential Single Family Detached. The revised site plans have been turned into our department and certified and turned over to the city clerk, and staff is available for any questions you may have.
Any questions from staff? All right, we have an applicant. Need to be sworn in, Ms. Lamont?
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth? Thank you. Please unmute yourself. You need to unmute yourself.
Thank you.
Ms. Lamont?
Oh, yes, thank you, Council. I am here today as we know for the second hearing to have approval from an RS60 residential single family to a planned development residential single family detached. I do own the home. We have posted the property, and we have notified all residents as instructed. Also, all changes, corrections to the site plan, and any additions have been completed as per the council's request. And I am respectfully asking for an approval to grant this and build a home on this property.
Any questions from council? Anybody from the public to speak on this item on second floor? We have anybody registered, Deputy Clerk?
No one registered for this item.
All right, move to close.
So moved.
Motion closed by Mr. Miranda, second by Mr. Citro. Roll call vote. I'm sorry, Mr. Miranda, could you read it, please? Take number 51, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item number 51, REZ 20-83, move an ordinance presented for second reading and adoption. An ordinance rezoning property general vicinity of 1909 West Erna Drive in the city of Tampa, Florida, and more particularly described from section 1 from zoning districts classification RS60 residential single family to PD planned development residential single family detached, providing for an effective date. Second.
Mr. Miranda has read, Mr. Citro has seconded. Roll call.
Vieira.
Yes.
Dingfelder.
Yes.
Maniscalco.
Yes.
Carlson.
Yes.
Citro.
Yes.
Miranda.
Yes.
And Goods.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimous.
Item number 52.
Thank you, Chair. Ryan Manassi, Development Coordination. Item number 52 is file number REZ 21-21. It's an ordinance being presented to you for a second reading and adoption. This is for the rezoning of the property located at 704 East Lake Avenue. The request was from RS50 Residential Single Family to PD Plan Development for Residential Single Family Detached. Certified site plans have been turned into the city clerk, and staff is available for any questions.
Any question for staff? Any question for staff? All right, we'll hear from the applicant. You sworn in?
Hey, good morning, Council. Fred Henry Domain Homes, 5703 South McDill Avenue. I need to be sworn in, please.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
And I'm here for any questions you may have, and I appreciate your time and consideration.
Any questions, gentlemen? Is there anybody from the public to speak on this item on the second floor? Anybody from the public to speak on this item on the second floor? We have any,
Second.
any registered callers?
No one is registered for this item.
All right, Mr. Maniscalco has moved to close. Mr. Miranda has seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Mr. Dingfellow, could you read item number 52, sir?
Sure, Mr. Chairman. In regard to file RAZ 21-21, I'll read the following ordinance for second reading and adoption. An ordinance rezoning property in the general vicinity of 704 East Lake Avenue in the city of Tampa, Florida, and more particularly described in Section 1 from zoning district classifications RS50 residential single family to PD plan development residential single family detached, providing an effective date.
Second.
Mr. Dingfelder has moved, Mr. Maniscalco has seconded. Roll call vote.
Carlson?
Yes.
Citro?
Yes.
Miranda?
Yes.
Vieira?
Yes.
Dingfelder?
Yes.
Maniscalco?
Yes.
And Goods.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
Item number 53.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank Mr.
Ryan
Dingfelder
Manassi,
abstained from
Development
this.
Coordination.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr.
Item,
Chairman.
Thank Mr. Dingfelder abstained from item number 53.
Right, and I'll abstain on second reading, and Mr. Shelby will provide me with that document at a later date to sign and file.
Mr. Manassi, continue.
Thank you, Chair. Item number 53, file number REZ 21-27, before you for second reading and adoption. This is to rezone the property generally located at 3807 and 3811 West Swan Avenue. And it was to rezone from zoning classification RM16 residential multifamily to PD plan development office business professional. Certified site plans have been turned into the city clerk, and staff is available for any questions.
Any questions for staff? Any questions for staff? We're from the applicant.
Need to be sworn in.
Need to be sworn in, Mr. Mechanic?
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, council members, my name is David Mechanic. I'm here on behalf of the applicant on item 53, and I am just here to answer any questions and would request your support of this application.
Any questions from the applicant? Anybody on the second floor for public comment, reference this item?
Move to close. Second.
Anybody registered, Madam Deputy Clerk?
No one is registered for this item.
Okay, Mr. Citro has moved the item. Mr. Miranda has seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Mr. Citro, you read item number 53, sir.
Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you very much. File number REZ 2127, ordinance being presented for second reading and adoption. An ordinance rezoning the property in the general vicinity of 3807 and 3811 West Swan Avenue in the city of Tampa, Florida, and more particularly described in Section 1 from zoning district classification RM60 residential multifamily to PD plan development office business professional, providing an effective date.
Second.
Mr. Citro has moved it. Mr. Maniscalco has seconded. Mr. Dingfelder will be abstaining. Roll call vote.
Maniscalco?
Yes.
Carlson?
Yes.
Citro?
Yes.
Miranda?
Yes.
Vieira?
Yes.
And Goods.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously with Dingfelder abstaining.
Item number 54.
Thank you, Chair. Ryan Manassi, Development Coordination. Item number 54 is file number REZ 21-28. It's an ordinance being presented to you for second reading and adoption. The rezoning property is 4110 George Road, and the request was from PD to PD plan development for business, professional, and medical office, retail sales, all commercial general uses, residential, single-family attached, and multifamily, hotel, motel, college, and restaurant. Certified site plans have been turned into the city clerk, and staff is available for any questions you may have.
Any questions for staff? Any questions for staff? We have an applicant.
Yes, sir. David Mechanic here on behalf of the applicant. I have Randy Cohen with me as well. We are here simply to answer any questions you may have and to ask your support for this application.
Does Mr. Mechanic be sworn again, or is he okay? All right, Mr. Cohen? Yes. Just raise your hand, Mr. Deputy Clerk.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth? Okay.
I do.
Thank you.
All right. Applicant, we have any questions, Mr. Mechanic or Mr. Cohen? No questions?
Move to close.
Anybody on the second floor? Anybody on the second floor?
No one is registered for this item.
All right, Mr. Miranda has moved to close. Mr. Citro was second, I believe. Roll call vote. I'm sorry, Mr. Carlson.
Yes, sir. I'd like to, thank you. I'd like to move file number REZ 21-28, ordinance being presented for second reading and adoption, ordinance rezoning property in the general vicinity of 4110 George Road in the city of Tampa, Florida, and more particularly described in section 1 from zoning district classification PD, plan development, business, professional office, retail sales, hotel, adult education, residential multifamily to PD, plan development, business, professional, and medical office, retail sales, all commercial general uses, residential, single-family attached, and multifamily hotel, motel, college, restaurant, providing effective date.
Second.
Mr. Carlson has moved it, Mr. Miranda has seconded. Roll call.
Dingfelder,
Yes.
Maniscalco,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Citro,
Yes.
Miranda,
Yes.
Vieira, and Goose.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
Item number 55.
Good morning, Council. Susan Johnson Velez, Senior Assistant City Attorney. Council members, as I explained during the first reading for this item, the prior rezoning that you just approved on second reading is part of a development of regional impact. And this change is simply to revise the equivalency matrix so that the development of regional impact or the rezoning is consistent with the DRI. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? We have an applicant to talk with us?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, David Mechanic here on behalf of the applicant. I have Randy Cohen with me, and we've both been sworn. We're just here to answer any questions you may have and to ask your support for this application.
Any questions on the applicant? Any questions on the applicant? We have anybody on the second floor or registered?
No one is registered for this item.
Move to close.
Second.
Mr. Miranda has moved it. Mr. Maniscalco has seconded. Mr. Maniscalco.
Thank you very much. I have an ordinance being presented for second reading and adoption, an ordinance of the City of Tampa approving the Third Amendment to a development order rendered pursuant to Chapter 380.06, Florida statutes for the Independence Park Development of Regional Impact DRI number 250, providing an effective date.
Second.
Mr. Maniscalco has moved. Mr. Miranda has seconded. Roll call vote.
Citro,
Yes.
Miranda,
Yes.
Vieira,
Yes.
Dingfelder, Maniscalco,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
and Goose.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
All right. 10:30 hearing has already been opened. We'll go to item number 56.
Thank you, Chair. Ryan Manassi, Development Coordination. Item number 56 is file number REZ 20-103. This is for the property located at 5426 Bay Center Drive. The request was from PD, or is from PD to PD for office, business, professional, medical office, hotel, multifamily, residential. A brief background: staff has done the presentation in previous hearings. This was continued from February 11th to March 18th to April 1st, and now before you today. I would defer back to Chair or the agent for their presentation from the continuance. Staff is available for any questions.
Mr. Manassi, just 1 second. It's going on 5 minutes to noon, Madam Deputy Clerk. How many registered speakers do we have for this item?
We have 20 registered speakers, and I believe approximately 3 downstairs.
Gentlemen, what is your pleasure?
I'd say we break for lunch and then take this up when we come back.
That's correct. That's what
I agree.
That's what I would thought. Mr. Manassi, we have consensus from this council to take this up at 1:30. So motion by Mr. Was it Citro or was it Mr. Maniscalco? Second by Mr. Miranda. All in favor?
Right.
All right, we stand adjourned in recess, gentlemen, until 1:30.